Chapter 528 Debt-Paying Mad King. I just entered the peak of the Meridian Opening Realm, Tier 3, and destroyed at least 10 small sections. Great day. Scholar, how many sects have you destroyed? Don't you feel guilty for all the lives in your hand? Mad King, guilt? What is that? Anyway, I have absorbed these people's flesh, blood, and soul in exchange for many karma points. Now I have some income to spend. Scholar, I still think giving people like you power is wrong. Doctor, I concur with this sentiment. Mad King, you guys just don't have what it takes to reach the top of the cultivation world. I bet you goody two-shoes are still in the body refining realm because you won't use drastic measures for cultivation. Doctor, for your information, I'm now at the peak of the True Yuan realm, Tier 2, and about to enter the Meridian Opening realm. Scholar, I'm already in the middle stage of the Meridian Opening realm. Mad King, how is that possible? How can you be so quick? Scholar, you're not the only one who can use luck to cultivate. Mad King, did you also become the king of a dynasty? No, your temperament and ideals do not fit the sovereign path. Did you become the prime minister of a fortune dynasty? Scholar, huh? Despite your title, you're pretty intelligent. Mad King, what a rude bastard. Whatever. Doctor, how come your cultivation is so fast? Doctor, I don't know talent. Mad King, please? Who amongst us is not talented? Otherwise we would not be there. Doctor, in that case I don't know. Mad King, give me a moment. A few minutes later. Mad King, I know, you're using the power of incense. Doctor, what do you mean? Mad King, every time you treat a patient that thanks you with their heart, their emotions turn into incense which boosts your cultivation level. This is part of your cultivation technique. Doctor, how fascinating. Wait, how do you know this? Mad King, I use the search function. Scholar, elaborate please. Mad King, don't you guys know? If you want to know something, you can use the search function. Then an answer will be given to you along with the price for that answer. Assassin, Mad King, are you rich? Mad King, compared to you lots, I guess I am. Assassin, then can you lend me some karma points? Mad King, can't you buy whatever you want with a loan? Assassin, I tried that, but it said I could not receive any more loans because of the high debt from the cultivation technique. Mad King, what do you want to buy? And why do you want to buy it? Please tell the truth. Assassin, fine. I was part of an organization that took orphans at a young age and trained them with cruel methods to be assassins for hire. After getting the cultivation technique and reaching the True Yuan realm, I slaughtered everybody for what they did to me. However, I also learned they were nothing but a mortal branch of one of the top factions in the cultivation world. So, I need to buy a Tier 9 talisman to destroy that faction. Inside a throne room, the Mad King sat on his golden dragon throne with his eyes closed. After reading that Assassin wanted to buy a Tier 9 level resource, he hesitated. Even with all the sects he slaughtered, he barely had enough karma points to purchase a Tier 6 resource, so how could he lend her his money? Additionally, why would she need such a high-level resource? There are plenty of ways for her to hide and remain undetected through the chat group. So, things were not as simple as Assassin stated. Nevertheless, the Mad King quickly thought about something he recently realized. The cultivation technique he cultivated was powerful beyond measure. In one of the small sects he destroyed, he found an incomplete cultivation technique that belonged to a powerful sect in his world. And that sect is one of the most powerful factions in the entire world. The Mad King then compared that technique with the one he cultivated, and he could only say it was dog shit when compared. Although that technique only contained the first two realms, he could still see the vast difference. So, he had an idea. Mad King, I agree to lend you all my points, but I have a few conditions. Assassin, please say. Mad King, firstly, I want a 5-time return on borrowed points. Assassin, deal. Assassin thought he would ask more, and she was prepared to be taken advantage of. Mad King, secondly, I want you to train a group of elite assassins for me, and they must obey me and only me. Don't leave any secret backhand on them so you can control them when needed. Assassin pondered for a moment and realized the Mad King's purpose was to take advantage of the uniqueness of her cultivation technique. Like him, she also learned how unique it was. Before that, she planned to change to another one after reaching the martial intent realm, Tier 4, to not pay for all the karma points. After all, with this technique she could understand shadow and space intent. Then all she had to do was switch to another decent technique and integrate her intent into that technique. Unfortunately, after infiltrating and stealing a few techniques from Tier 4 and 5 sects, she realized how horrible these native techniques were compared to the one she's using. And although she had not seen those Tier 9 sects techniques, she did not think they would be as good as hers. Assassin, I agree with your condition. But how do I get the trained people to you? Mad King, as I said before, you guys need to use the search function more often. We can travel to each other's worlds through transmission arrays. The only issue is the high price. However, there are less expensive options like paying for a void boat voyage, but those take time to travel between worlds. But you can also pay extra to expedite the voyage. The other four became serious after learning this news. This information changed the dynamic of the entire group. Assassin, good to know. Does anyone else want to lend me some money? No one answered her. Assassin, am willing to return you 3 times the amount. Still no answer. Assassin, I thought you guys were smart. I can't believe the Mad King is the only wise man here. New novel chapters are published on LibRead. Sim, scholar, what do you mean by that? Assassin, after I destroy the Tier 9 sect, I will have access to all their resources so that I won't lack any karma points. So, there is no need to worry about repaying you. Scholar. Doctor. Mad King, she could even lend some karma points afterward to destroy Tier 9 sects in our world so we can have more resources. Assassin, exactly. Plus, Scholar, I doubt you won't need my help training a few elite assassins for you. Scholar, fine, I'll lend you my money. Don't forget your promise. Although Scholar considered himself a loyal minister, he understood the mind of a sovereign is fickle. So, there is nothing wrong with having some secret force underneath him. Doctor, me too. The doctor was slightly guilty that his action would result in the death of countless people. However, he had a sense of urgency after learning they could travel to each other worlds. He needed to be as strong as possible to protect his world from the very likely invasion of these people, especially the Mad King. So, he told himself it was alright since he was not the one killing these people. The karma of their death should not fall on his head. Butcher, I just got online and read the conversation. I'll also lend you some of my savings. Afterward, the group sent Assassin their karma points using the chat group as a contract guarantee. Deep in an underground hideout, Assassin sat cross-legged on a cushion. She opened her eyes when a talisman appeared in her hand. Finally got it, she muttered. With the others' points, mainly the Mad King, and her savings after stealing from a few dozens of sects, she finally had enough to buy this talisman. Based on my analysis, my backlash for stealing luck will most likely come from the Killing Temple learning of my action and hunting them down. But what if I destroy them before they become my backlash? The backlash would be gone or prolongedly delay. Even if it does not work, I bet the Killing Temple has a few innate treasures. Hopefully, it is as strong as the description, muttered Assassin before leaving the base. Meanwhile, Wang Wei read their chat before checking the inventory. Most of the things these guys exchanged were useless items between Tier 1 and 4. However, Wang Wei truly valued the lifespan and luck they exchanged. Every time these people steal someone's luck, 20% of it goes to him. Additionally, people like Assassin, Mad King, and Butcher also absorb their targets or victims' flesh, blood, soul, and lifespan. Wang Wei needed luck and lifespan as sacrifices to boost his comprehension. He has a long way to go to catch up to D. Tian's golden law tree. After checking the inventory, he focused on Assassin. Without hesitation, she traveled to the location of the Killing Temple and activated the talisman. Then, a giant hand descended from the sky, descending on the temple. Numerous martial artists in the True World realm, Tier 9, appeared in the sky and manifested their world to block that hand. Unfortunately, that talisman contained 50% of Wang Wei's strength. So, the hand annihilated these worlds without stopping its momentum. Bang! The magnificent temple shook tremendously before being destroyed. All the disciples, elders, deacons, and even the sect master died. Oddly, they just died with their bodies and souls intact. It was as if they just died without any causes or reasons. Assassin frowned after seeing all these perfect intact bodies lying on the floor. With her cultivation level, she could not understand what was wrong with these people, so she hurriedly used the search function. She then learned these people's bodies were preserved in case she wanted to absorb their luck and sacrifice their bodies and lifespan. Furthermore, she also realized the attack also preserved the resource hall of the temple. Suddenly, Assassin received a message directly in her mind asking if she wanted to use some karma points to get rid of the temple members not present in the main branch. She then realized her mistake, or an oversight on her part. The Killer Temple had many branches scattered across the world. And many of these branches have Tier 9 powerhouses. Once they learned she destroyed their sect, they would hunt her down until the end of the earth. So, is this my true luck backlash? So, she quickly contacted the chat group and agreed. Immediately, Assassin felt she was connected to a mighty and supreme being. Lord of Destiny. Her eyes changed as she saw thousands of invisible yellow threads connecting from the destroyed temple to different parts of the world. She also saw all these threads were connected to her. Then an invisible blade appeared to cut off all the threads, and with each one severe, Assassin knew that one of the temple branch assassins was dead, but it appeared as if they were erased from the world. The Lord of Destiny's power wiped out all their memories and trace of existence. As she experienced this scene, she had a look of envy and yearning. Then she quickly collected herself. She rushed toward the Sex Resources Hall, and a small light entered her forehead on her way there. She was scared at first but calmed down after realizing it was information about the location of the Sex precious resources. At her destination, Assassin was not surprised the previous attack had destroyed the temple's formation. So, with no hindrance, she rushed to a specific destination. 2 innate treasures? It seems my luck is good. She only needed one to pay her initiation debt, so she wondered what to do with the second. However, Assassin did not hesitate before choosing to exchange it. With the second innate treasure, she had enough karma points to pay for her cultivation technique and the price of having Destiny Lord take action, with enough left over to repay all her debts and still be considered rich. Wang Wei looked at the 2 innate treasures in his hand. Although they were only the lowest level, he did not mind. He can still exchange for ultimate level innate herb with the sect as long as he pays for the difference. A few strings of chaos chi produced by his chi flower are more than enough to make up for the difference. Maybe I should destroy a few sects in Great Thousand Worlds to get the resources I need, muttered Wang Wei, who shook his head soon after. There was a better option: stealing. With his ability, the sect's protection arrays were nothing to him, so he could infiltrate their resources hall and take what he wanted. He did not have to mindlessly slaughter. Although he was not affected by karma, he didn't like large-scale slaughter unless necessary. After coming up with this idea, Wang Wei acted. He first sent these 2 innate treasures to his clone back in the sect so it could exchange the resources he needed. He also instructed it to send them to the incarnations. Then he placed one of his spirit particles in a puppet and ordered him to use the soul network to start divining worlds with sects that may have innate treasures. As Wang Wei watched the puppet's work, he sighed out loud. Ever since he arrived in this place, his intuition has told him to gather the resources for the incarnation as soon as possible. As such, he suddenly had a sense of urgency. He then focused on the chat group again. I need someone to help me gather incense, and the doctor's method is too slow because of his conservative approach. So Wang Wei decided to find another person to add to the group. He originally wanted to create a fake account to secretly motivate these people to get karma points, but Assassin's actions made this idea futile. Wang Wei then searched for someone in the same category of these 5, with the difference that person wanted to be worshipped. A few hours later, he found another person in another Middle Thousand world. Then the members receive a message. Ding. Wannabe God has joined the chat group. Chapter 529. First and second. A young farmer with a rake looked dazed in the distance with a shocked look. A few seconds later, he muttered, "Chat group? Ah. Xiaoli, what's wrong?" asked an older man next to him. "Peasant, don't talk to me. I'm the man destined to rule the heavens." The older man looked at him calmly before ignoring him. This was not the first time Xiaoli had said these random and ridiculous things. Meanwhile, Xiaoli did not mind the other's reaction as he knew he was telling the truth this time. So, he put his tool away before running to his small house. He was currently receiving much information and needed time to process them. Mad King, a newcomer? Please introduce yourself. Scholar? I did not even know we could have new members. Doctor, welcome fellow Taoist. Wannabe God, I knew I was destined for greatness. I give you permission to worship this God. Mad King. Scholar. Doctor. Assassin, an idiot? Butcher, well, this explains the name. Wannabe God, where is the Lord of Destiny? Come give this God the startup cultivation technique. Everyone read this message with terror on their faces, unable to process what was happening. And before they could even do that, they found themselves in the meeting room they first met. Wang Wei calmly looked at the young farmer without saying anything. Meanwhile, Wannabe God felt his soul was slowly being squeezed out into pace with that single look. Sweats fell from his very soul as his life flashed across his eyes. I can eliminate your entire existence with a single thought before making you regret you ever existed between heaven and earth, Wang Wei said calmly. Do you know this? Wannabe God took all his willpower to nod his head. As long you understand that, nodded Wang Wei. I have no problem with you having goals, dreams, ambitions, or desires. This is the exact reason you are here today. But you should know your limitation, know your weight. I'm sorry for what I said. It's fine. Just be mindful of your actions or words when you are weak. Wannabe God clenched his hands as he understood the message. He was too weak. Tell me what you want for your cultivation technique? Ever since I was young, I've only wanted to be worshipped by everyone. Man, woman, nobles, kings, etc. So that's what I want. In that case, the path of sovereign God is perfect. You can establish a fortune dynasty to gather chi, luck, and incense. You can conquer myriad races and worlds, garnering their awe and worship. Be mindful though. Your strength can drastically increase with the power of incense, but it will also restrict you. If you lose your worshippers, you will lose your strength. Is that acceptable? Yes, immediately replied Wannabe God. Very well. Your total is 14.7 million karma points. A booklet flew in front of Wannabe God, and after accepting it, Wang Wei looked at the others before disappearing. Everyone remained quiet while looking at this crazy new member. Assassin, can you lend me some points now? I want to destroy the most powerful sect in my world and plunder their resources, said the Mad King after sighing in relief. He still had the most expensive technique. Me as well, said the butcher, who did not like mass killing. He preferred one-on-one killing, where he could savor the victim's pain, suffering, and despair. Nevertheless, he also understood the need for resources to become stronger. Give me one too, said the scholar. The most powerful dynasty in my world is my way. Not you too, scholar, said the doctor. I thought you were one of the few people in this group with morals. I have morals, but the Great Su dynasty treated people worse than dogs. Moreover, I have news that they have been selling humans to the demon race to maintain peace. They've gone too far. The assassin smiled before saying, no problem. I will even loan each of you the money to buy a talisman with more than one attack. She then looked at the doctor. Are you sure you don't want one? I'm sure your world has some problems that need brute strength to solve. The doctor became lost in thought. His world indeed had problems, and a lot of them. The martial artists' factions constantly fought for wealth, power, and fame. And as a result, the common people died every day as casualties. Maybe with absolute strength, he could stop the fighting indefinitely or by an extended period of peace and stability. I also want a loan, said the doctor, making Assassin smile under her hood. Excellent. Then she gave them the loan. As for Wannabe God, she did not ask him. Wannabe God was a new person, and he had offended the Destiny Lord. She did not know whether he would survive long despite the Lord not minding his behavior. Meanwhile, Wang Wei watched this interaction. After the exchange, these people went on a killing spree, and as expected, they acquired some innate herbs. Each had 2, with the Mad King acquiring a shocking total of 4. Each group member exchanged their 2 innate treasures. One was to pay for their initiation debt, and the other to pay for their cultivation debt. It's a shame the Mad King did not exchange the last 2 treasures. Now, only the last resource group is left, muttered Wang Wei after taking out the innate resources. He only needed 10 more innate herbs for the last incarnation, which alleviated the warning signs his intuition gave him. Nevertheless, he would not stop his business of raising leek, as some protagonist in his past life would call them. After all, he now had ambitions to convert all the materials in his main body into Chao level ones. Wang Wei looked at the people in the chat while muttering, now that all of you are rich, you will stop relying on me. This can't be allowed. He accessed the original 5's fate line and added a few Nexus fate events that would force them to use the points in their hands and continue relying on his power. He also took his time with the Mad King since he wanted the remaining 2 innate resources. As for Wannabe God, he was still in his early stage of development, so there was no need to make things difficult for him, at least not yet. Finally, Wang Wei focused on his puppet, who was still searching for worlds with innate treasures to steal. Unfortunately, he did find nothing as of yet, and Wang Wei was not surprised. It would not be surprising if these 6 people's worlds were the only place in the martial supreme world community with innate resources. At least in the lower realm. For example, Wang Wei has been searching the lower realm of the Myriad Emperor world community for many years but found nothing, even with his divination. Furthermore, he knew the reason he could gather these resources so quickly was a combination of his Tao Overlord's luck being on the rise and his strategic mind. From now, things will require a bit more effort. Through the Trials token, Wang Wei received the news that a dinner party with all the Trials participants would take place a week from now. So, he used this time to gather as much information as possible through Shadow 2. As he expected, the information was not much, mainly since some world communities might have used the same tactics. Nevertheless, he still gathers some crucial basic information. For example, 12 world communities participated in this trial, counting the Myriad Emperor. Of these 12 communities, Wang Wei paid attention to two: Star Beast World Community and the Emperor Dao World Community. The Star Beast World tied the Myriad Emperor World for the number of eternal emperors, 8. Furthermore, the entire Endless Void acknowledged that their cultivation system has the greatest battle prowess. It's a shame that even their quasi-emperor could only live up to 50,000 years due to that system. As for the Emperor Dao World, they are first on the list with a total of 10 eternal emperors. Of course, Wang Wei did not take the list seriously as he knew the Myriad Emperor used to be first, but too many eternal emperors died, plus the one or ones hiding in the Forbidden Lands do not count. Shadow Toe acquired some basic cultivation techniques from these world communities, so Wang Wei wanted to know about them. The Star Beast World's cultivation system is very rudimentary. It is divided into 9 ranks. The first stage of cultivation is to condense a rank 1 Star Beast body, usually between 5 meters to 100 meters. And every time the cultivator rises in rank, the bodice height will increase to the point of being as big as galaxies. The entire system involves increasing the size of the body. What makes it the strongest battle-oriented system is the process of condensing these bodies. The Star Beast World's cultivators use anything under heaven and earth to increase their ranks. Spiritual herbs, ores, energy of any kind, laws, souls, flesh and blood, heart demon, etc. Anything they can find, they will absorb to increase their body's size. So, fighting any of them is like simultaneously fighting a fleshly body master, energy-controlling expert, and soul savant. Then there is the constant, non-stop fighting of that world because of how precious every single piece of resource is. Every Star Beast cultivator is fighting madmen. They have to, otherwise they won't get the resources to cultivate. With such a short lifespan, how does their heaven will battle operates? Thought Wang Wei before searching for the answer in the information. From the information, Wang Wei knew that the Star Beast cultivators exchange many life-extending resources with other world communities so they can live long enough until their heaven will battle. If not, they will seal themselves before their lifespan runs out. As a result of this circumstance, the Star Beast world is very friendly to Immortal-based world communities since they usually have the most resources related to longevity. After reading this, Wang Wei's eyes lit up as he thought of a business opportunity. The Star Beast world might have connections to other world communities, but what about the lower realm? He does not think the Great and Middle Thousand world will have a way to contact them, so he wanted to target them. So, he decided to meet someone from the Star Beast world to get some information. Chapter 530 Fate Palace. Wang Wei did not immediately leave as he wanted to understand the cultivation system of the Emperor Dao world, which was attractive to him. The first realm is the body tempering realm, involves training and purifying the body. The unique part about this realm is that they constantly destroy and rebuild their bodies, similar to some cultivation techniques in Nirvana. Energy Sea Realm is a realm similar to the Divine Sea Realm, which focuses on gathering and condensing energy. The main difference is that the cultivators in the system have to create something called spiritual foundation inside their bodies. There are 9 spiritual foundations. Soul Realm is the third stage. As the name implied, this is a realm related to the soul. However, the way the Emperor Dao world reached this realm is different from the norm. The cultivators must experience myriad emotions and desires and use these intense feelings to temper their spirits and condense their souls. It seems similar to incense but not quite, thought Wang Wei before continuing to read. The fourth realm is the Dao Declaration realm, which is the most important in this cultivation technique because of how much must be accomplished. The primary purpose of this realm is for cultivators to declare or decide their own Dao or path, similar to how cultivators in the Divine Body realm have to do in the Myriad Emperor world. However, the Dao Declaration realm is more strict on the requirements. For example, all the heaven shows from the Emperor Dao world will be sent to the lower realm for trial and tribulations while having memories of their background seal. If they do not reach the peak of the Dao Declaration realm, they will not get their memories back. The more Wang Wei read about this realm, the more he shook his head. Too many things were happening in this short realm. The Dao Declaration realm is divided into 4 stages: 33 question stage, 66 question stage, 99 question stage, and 100 question stage. To go through the stages, cultivators have to study the laws and mystery of heaven and earth. Not comprehend but study. By studying countless notes and esoteric scriptures of ancient sages, wise men, and even powerful cultivators, these cultivators can understand how the worlds and laws operate. In the Myriad Emperor world, Heaven Chosen has to go through a similar thing, but only when they are children to establish a foundation for them. However, the Emperor Dao world integrate this aspect into their cultivation system. In the first stage, 33 question, cultivators must study enough about the body to temper it to the point of withstanding the law. In the second stage, 66 questions, they must understand enough about the soul to elevate its strength and quality based on the individual's talent. In the third stage, 99 question, sublimate the soul into the law soul, similar to primordial spirit or true soul. In the final stage, and the stage where the upper realm geniuses could unseal their memories, they have to elevate the previous energy in their bodies to a higher one. While doing all this, these cultivators also have to find their Tao or path and have enough conviction in their decision to move to the next realm. Otherwise they would be stuck in this realm. I understand the purpose of the soul and Tao declaration realm is to temper the state of mind, willpower, and Tao heart, but it seems too much is happening at once, commented Wang Wei before continuing reading. The fifth realm is the law realm, further divided into sensing law, see law, touch law, and comprehend law. This is a step-by-step guide on comprehending and wielding the law. This is the basic realm that involves the laws found in many cultivation systems. The only noteworthy aspect is that some heaven chosens are rewarded with something called law essence by heavenly Tao if they are powerful and talented enough. The law essence can nourish their bodies to make them stronger and boost their comprehension of specific laws. After comprehending 50% of their primary and 40% of minor laws, the next step is to condense them in the spiritual foundation into cores, hence the name of this realm, law core. The law cores can be created for one law, multiple, or one core for all the laws, similar to how Wang Wei fuses the different law aspects of fate into one. Wang Wei realized that this spiritual foundation system provides great battle strength to cultivators in this stage because of law resonance. These cultivators can have multiple cores inside their bodies, then use them to resonate with each other or the laws of heaven and earth and borrow their power. So, the cultivators in the Emperor Dao world are most likely very versatile in their fighting methods. The seventh realm is the domain realm, where the law cores are condensed into a domain seed. And just like the myriad emperor world, cultivators must focus on expanding and controlling their domains. The eighth realm is the incarnation realm. Through deeper comprehension, the domain seed has turned into fruits of law in the first stage of this realm. And in the second stage they ripened into incarnation of self. Cultivators do not have to consciously manipulate laws at this stage, as the incarnation will do it for them. The ninth stage is the true self realm, where the cultivators fused with their incarnation, boosting their control of the laws to another level. In each cultivation stage, cultivators condensed a spiritual foundation for a total of 9. And to reach the quasi-emperor realm, they must fuse all 9 spiritual foundations into an Emperor Dao foundation. During the fusion, cultivators can experience everything that previously occurred in their lives, thus sublimating their state of mind and Dao heart in the process. Additionally, during the fusion, the Emperor Dao world cultivators will slightly boost their comprehension to elevate their understanding of the Dao. According to rumors Shadow 2 gathered, this boost will remain in some cultivators after acquiring the heaven while comprehending the grand Dao source, but there is no proof yet. After reading the entire thing, Wang Wei compared the origin system with the spiritual foundation system. The overall difference is how these two systems approached laws. The origin system focused more on a deeper understanding of the law, while the spiritual foundation system focused more on subtle control of the law. For example, the higher energy created in the fourth stage of the Dao Declaration realm is fused with laws comprehended in the next realm. This is not the same for origin essence, which served as a boost and power source for cultivators to use the law. Meanwhile, the Emperor Dao world cultivators fuse their energy with the law to better control. They use their soul, spirit, body, and even energy to control the law. The downside to this method is that if something went wrong with these cultivators' energy, their control of the law would decrease. And if something went wrong with their laws, they would be almost useless. Meanwhile, if something went wrong with the origin system cultivators' energy, they can still use their laws to fight. And if something is wrong with their laws, they can still use their energy to fight. Furthermore, because of how the Dao Declaration realm functioned, there are bound to be many cultivators forever stuck in that realm, meaning that the myriad emperor world has way too many high-level cultivators than the Emperor Dao world. However, they have higher quality cultivators. And if Wang Wei had to choose which system was better, he had to admit it was the spiritual foundation system, despite some of its flaws, especially when it comes to the boost with comprehending the grand Dao source, if it's true. He could foresee that they should have a higher number of second and first-class great emperors throughout their history than the myriad emperor world. As for the reasons they do not have even more eternal emperors, It could be because of luck or because the myriad emperor world has gone through many hanging catastrophes that force geniuses from all walks of life to rise. Or the boost does not apply to understanding Tao will and existence. Or a combination of the three. After analyzing this cultivation system, Wang Wei had many thoughts and ideas. The first one was to create something similar to the spiritual foundations with his incarnation. He would call it Fate Palace. Instead, and his purpose is that when they fuse, it can sublimate his understanding and control of Fate Tao. This might be how I can reach a golden law tree, thought Wang Wei with excitement before rapidly calming down. To accomplish this, he would also need to learn from the incarnation of self concept of the spiritual foundation system and recreate it. Countless thoughts flashed across his mind on how to accomplish these things. He could tell by doing this that he would elevate his force control skill to a higher level when it comes to law. The only problem facing him now was that he only had a quasi-emperor tier cultivation technique from the Emperor Tao world. He wanted to have at least one emperor scripture before proceeding with the plan. Another thing to put on the schedule is to optimize the origin system, he muttered. Wang Wei had long planned to do so, and the reason was not that he learned another system was better than his home world. Based on his plan, the environment of the myriad emperor world will revert to ancient times, meaning that the ancient clan and their cultivation system will flourish. Unfortunately, Wang Wei also acknowledged that the origin system could not compare to the ancient one in an environment full of innate qi and maybe even chaos qi. So, he could foresee that the majority of cultivators would switch to that system if nothing were done, thus destroying the Qi Lucy foundation of the Tao opening sect. Wang Wei would not let that happen, so he needed to optimize the origin system. Now, with this inheritance trial, he can access some of the best cultivation systems in the endless void and learn from them. Chapter 531 The Commerce Hub. You dirty hairless monkey, said a humanoid hyena looking at a group of people. He spat in front of them before continuing, You humans disgust me. You're lucky the trial does not allow fighting before the competition begins. After saying that, the hyena walked away to see a handsome young man with beautiful long silver-gray hair. Another disgusting hum. He did not finish his words before he saw a pair of cold eyes staring at him, sending chills straight down his soul. He snorted coldly before walking away. The hyena soon arrived at his mansion. Boss, I just berated a human and humiliated him. A giant black tiger with red markings on its back opened his eyes. Oh, what did you call them? I called them disgusting hairless monkeys and harassed them for over an hour. Of course, he forgot the human that placed the fear of God in him. Well, it's not very original, and the monkey clan has been pressuring us to stop calling humans any words related to them. Nevertheless, you still did your duty. So, with my power granted from the Demon Supremacy Alliance, I will give you some 1,000 community points. Thank you, young Master Yi. With this point, I can almost exchange a bloodline pill to sublimate my bloodline and rise in status. The hyena was genuinely excited. As long as his bloodline can sublimate, he can have a higher status in the alliance. He could not think of the love of his life. They had loved each other since childhood, but because she was of higher status, he could not be with her due to the laws of the alliance. However, all that will change once his status is elevated. While the hyena was in deep thought, a humanoid rabbit entered the room. Young Master Yi, I've written a new novel. Oh, let me see. The giant tiger used his divine sense to read for a few minutes before commenting. Not bad. Although it is a typical novel about the years humans oppressed us countless years ago, you did a good job focusing on their atrocities toward the demon kind. I also like how you portrayed them as beasts with low-level intelligence and violent tendencies. Then there is the emphasis on the bald donkeys and their oppression of our kind through religion. Not bad, not bad. Young master, did you not like the ending? Well, exterminating humans is a good idea, but it has been done too often. Nevertheless, an excellent novel. They'll give you 7,600 community points. Thank you, young master, said the humanoid rabbit, while the hyena was slightly jealous. It's a shame he had no talent for writing, so he could only use the low-level method of harassing humans to get points. Give me your token and I'll add the points. The two took out their point token and the tiger added the point he promised. He then looked at them with his red pupils. Do you remember the DSA's motto? We will eradicate all humans and spread the supremacy of the demon race until we eventually rule the endless void, simultaneously said the rabbit and hyena with a loud voice. Don't forget. We will never. Good, you can leave. As the tiger watched the group leave, a dangerous light flashed across his eyes before closing them and continuing his cultivation. Meanwhile, Wang Wei watched the hyena walk away and muttered, "It's weird seeing a demon race so confident and full of himself." After shaking his head, he headed for his destination. He soon arrived in the area where the Star Beast World's people lived. Then, he divined which house would ensure the highest possibility of success before walking to the far corner. He stood in front of the mansion without entering or saying anything. He knew the owner was aware of his existence through the arrays he sensed. Not long after, a woman with a stern look. Although this woman looked like a human, Wang Wei's true eyes could see a shadow of an enormous giant behind her. It was her true body. "Who are you?" she asked directly. "Wang Wei from the Myriad Emperor world." She frowned after hearing this, thinking for a moment before closing the door. A few seconds later, she opened it while telling him to follow her to the living room. Soon, Wang Wei saw a young man dressed in regular black clothes in front of a table with tea. His appearance was ordinary compared to cultivators' generally handsome and beautiful appearance. However, the unique or charming part about him was his eyes. He had 8 stars forming a circle inside his pupils. Wang Wei knew this was not a special physique or eye technique. This was a sign that this person had cultivated a rank 8-star beast body, and in each rank he cultivated his body to the pinnacle and beyond. Only true geniuses can have the ancient star symbols in the Star Beast world. With his true vision, he could see the enormous being comparable to a domain back home in size. If he had to give the latter an accurate measurement, that person's actual body was probably as big as 5 galaxies. "Fellow Taoist, my name is Mu Lei, Star Beast World, Star Lord Mountain." As he said these words, Wang Wei saw 7 pillars appear on the latter's forehead, with one of them having a star. Wang Wei returned the salute as 9 pillars appeared on his forehead, with 2 of them having stars. "Wang Wei, Myriad Emperor World, Dao, DAP Opening Sect. Oh, you've heard of us. Of course, there are only 2 factions with 2 eternal emperors, and the other one mysteriously disappeared many years ago. Many people think they have been destroyed. So, your sect is a little famous." "I see," replied Wang Wei as he sat in front of Mu Lei. "Can I ask what this visit is for?" asked Mu Lei despite having calculated a few possibilities. "I'll be direct. I would like the Myriad Emperor world to enter business with the Star Beast world, starting with cooperation between our 2 factions." Mu Lei sipped his tea, thinking about how to respond. This was one of the primary possibilities he thought of, along with forming an alliance. "Our Star Beast world is always looking for power communities to exchange with, so you are more than welcome." Because of how their cultivation system was set, resources are everything to the cultivators of the Star Beast world. After all, they can swallow anything to increase their strength. "Can I see your energy currency?" asked Mu Lei, and Wang Wei handed him an origin stone and an origin source. Mu Lei opened his mouth and swallowed the stones. His eyes lit up because he discovered an energy source he had never used before and was of very high quality. "Do you have any longevity resources?" Wang Wei gave him a pill, and Mu Lei did not swallow it as he previously did. Instead, he inhaled the aroma. "This pill could increase my lifespan by another 50,000 years. Not bad." Wang Wei's lips twitched after hearing this. This was a perfect quality quasi-emperor pill refined by him. Typically, this pill could raise a person's lifespan by at least 1 million years or more. But this guy said it could only give him 50,000 years of life. This Star Beast body system is too radical. With these 2 products alone, you should have a small place on our market. Do you want the exchange to be only between us, or do you want to register in the Commerce Hub? Commerce Hub? What's that? Mu Lei looked at him strangely. "Have you guys become so reclusive that you don't even know about the hub? I'm ashamed to say we were forced to lay low and recuperate after a few catastrophes." "I see. The Commerce Hub is essentially an artificial world established by the Star Beast world connected to different world communities to exchange resources. Before the Great Buddhist Cataclysm, the Myriad Emperor world was one of its most powerful members." Wang Wei frowned as he had a lot of information to process. Firstly, this cataclysm probably referred to the absolute beginning emperor's eradication of Buddhism in the endless void. Secondly, he was concerned about this hub. One of his plans was to connect all the world communities, Heavenwell world, and their lower realm to exchange resources, ideas, cultures, etc. He knew once he succeeded, he would gather a massive amount of merit, but now he learned one already existed. So, he decided one of the first things he would do after proving the Tao was to either take control of the hub or destroy it. "How many communities is this hub connected to?" "If I remember correctly, about 150, Mu Lei replied, an answer which relieved Wang Wei. He knew there were exactly 3,000 world communities, so as long as he could expand the hub to all of them, he would still get massive merit. And has this hub connected to the lower realm? Of course, replied Muley, making Wang Wei secretly sigh as he knew he could not use his previous plan of cheating members from the lower realm. After that, the two chatted and discussed cooperation. Wang Wei decided to only trade with the Star Lord Mountain for now and wait for a while before registering with the commercial hub. Then they signed an agreement. As Muley watched Wang Wei leave, he could not help mutter, "So, the rumors are true, the Myriad Emperor world is going through a rejuvenation." Chapter 532 Dinner Party. Wang Wei walked home with a pondering look. With this conversation he realized he knew very little about the Endless Void and needed to change. So, after returning home he contacted Ancestor Wuxia and asked him about the commercial hub. "That thing? I remember the devil race destroyed it during that era. I guess they rebuild it." "So, the sect has not been part of the hub since the Incense era?" "That's probably correct. After the devil catastrophe, didn't anyone think of rejoining? Back then many of us died or were injured, so no one really cared about the Endless Void." "What about after you recuperated?" "By then we had to worry about the rise of the Emperor Enlightening Academy, the Nine Emperor Curse and the Heaven Devourer Emperor, so no one really cared or thought about such a thing." Wang Wei sighed, knowing there was no point in focusing on things like this. What he needed to do was focus on the future. "Speaking of the Nine Emperor Curses, what happened? I've never felt its power." "After you entered the Dui realm, Heavenly Tao removed most of the curse's power. And after you became an outlaw, it completely removed all its influences." "Do you know the reason?" "We have calculated a plethora of reasons. The eternal destiny of this generation, the upcoming change of era, the fact you stripped the spirit of epic from the academy, and even that lad's Tion's presence. Anyway, the real reason does not matter. What matters is the fact it's removed." "That's true," nodded Wang Wei. "What do you think of the sect's alliance with the Star Lord Mountain and eventually rejoining the commercial hub? You're the sect master, so you can decide these things on your own. And as the sect master, you can dispatch most of the immortal powerhouses in case you want someone to station at the hub." "All right. When Wang Ju returns from her retreat, I need someone to help spread the Fate Shadow Guards throughout the Endless Void. And using the hub as the starting point is a good idea." "That's fine." Then the two ended the conversation. Not long afterward, Li Jun ran into the house with excitement all over his face. "What happened?" "I got some information that may be useful for you." Then he handed Wang Wei a talisman, which contained an image of him fighting other trial members. "How did you get this?" Wang Wei knew it was forbidden to fight before the competition began. "I convinced these people to fight me through the dream technique." "Brilliant," said Wang Wei as he watched these battles and experienced how these power systems functioned. The trial did not only contain people from 12 world communities. The 12 main communities like the Myriad Emperor World, Star Beast World and Emperor Dao World had at least 3 participants, but the others would only have 1 or 2 participants. From what Wang Wei knew, at least 30 to 40 communities participated in this trial. So, Li Jun's information was crucial to him. So, he rested inside for the next few days while viewing these battles. It's a shame that many world communities were smart enough to decline Li Jun's invitation since they knew the importance of information. Finally, the day of the dinner party arrived. "Sect Master, Elder Li Jun has left for a while now," said Shadow 2. "I know you're trying to remind me not to be late, but I have my reasons," said Wang Wei, who fixed his black martial clothes and appearance. He wanted to wear a white one for this trail but changed his mind considering his clothes would have the blood of his enemy on them. Although it was a magical artifact with self-cleaning capabilities, he decided otherwise. Sometimes it's good to leave the blood on for intimidation and boost the aura. Blood looks better on black clothes than on white ones. Suddenly he sensed it was the right time, so he headed to the destination. Meanwhile, Shadow 2 was momentarily confused. From what he knew about the young master, he was not one of these people who liked grand entrances or flashy displays of power. At least, most of the time that was true. Wang Wei got into his carriage and flew to the center of this small world where the dinner took place. After showing his token, he walked inside after putting his chariot away. And as he expected, he was the last to arrive, making everybody glance at him. "Hello, fellow Taoists," Wang Wei said as he cupped his hand and bowed slightly. His voice traveled throughout the entire venue, forcing everybody to focus more on him. As such, Wang Wei senses numerous gazes, curious, intrigued, sneering, disgusted, and even killing ones. "Interesting," said another voice that traveled through the entire room, shifting the people's gaze toward the far left of the room. Even Wang Wei had a severe look on his face as he gazed at the person who spoke. It was a handsome young man dressed in a loose long white robe with blue designs. His long black hair was in a top knot, but he also had a ribbon around his forehead to keep his hair. The young man ignored the gazes surrounding him as he looked at Wang Wei. Unlike martial clothes, which were tight-fitting, the robe had wide sleeves, so he held his right hand sleeve with his left so it would not interfere with his tea. The young man's slow actions emanated a natural charm. It was like heaven and earth would praise his every word and deed simply because he was born noble. "Young Master Chu Luo, what do you mean?" asked one of the participants sitting at the same table. Chu Luo looked at the speaker and said, "Sometimes, it baffles me how weak you people are." "What do you mean by that?" said a person at another table. However, Chu Luo did not look at the person but gazed back at Wang Wei. A powerhouse's every action has weights or bearings, which can manifest in the form of karma. This is why no cultivators would dare receive a bow from an emperor without their protection. The weight of the karma would destroy most of them or curse them with misfortune. Chu Luo paused to drink his tea, but people kept staring at him, wondering what this had to do with anything. He shook his head in disappointment before continuing, "This man used this concept to place secret karma threads on all of you. The moment he bowed and called you fellow Taoists, he used the weight of his strength to force karma on all of you. What's brilliant about his application of karma law is the people who secretly accepted his bow were the easiest to target, while the others he still forced the thread on you without even you knowing it." Chu Luo squinted his eyes. He did not say that such a method would require a great deal of control of karma but also great intelligence to capture the mindset of all the people in the room. After saying those words, the faces of the people in this room suddenly changed, and they quickly began to use different methods to check their bodies. Meanwhile, the calm and composed Wang Wei looked at Chu Luo before looking at the people in the room. He then classified everybody into different categories. The first group was people who instantly realized what he did, and to his surprise, there was another one beside Chu Luo in the back with a hood covering their faces. The second group was the people who could detect his action after being revealed and used their own method to cut off the karma thread. The third group was the people who could detect the thread but did not have the means to remove it. And finally, the people who could not even notice it. With a gentle smile, Wang Wei walked to the Tao opening sections to the far right, where the other participants gave him a fierce look. All 5 of them belonged to the second group. "What's wrong? You seem more serious than before?" asked Li Jun through divine sense despite the gentle smile on Wang Wei's face. "That guy who spoke, he is dangerous." "Well, since he could detect your method he should be quite powerful." "No, I mean he gives me the same vibe as Di Tian." "Are you serious? Does more than one of such a monster truly exist?" "Most likely. Remember the hints I've been getting to finish my incarnations quickly? Most likely it's because of him." Li Jun looked at Chu Luo's table with a severe look. He understood what kind of monster Di Tian was. His big brother was on his way to reaching that level of monstrosity, but he was not there yet. "I have an idea on how to gather some information about him," he said. "Oh." After hearing his plan, Wang Wei's lips twitched. "I doubt that would work. I bet he also has an alliance with the other people to prevent information leaks. No, this guy gives me an arrogant and overconfident vibe. I doubt he would care about information leak." "Well, go for it." "I promise not to say anything to Liling." Wang Wei sensed something and looked in the back of the room, where the hooded figure seemed to be staring at him intently. However, Wang Wei only squinted at him before ignoring him. Meanwhile, the hooded figure did not stop staring for a few seconds. "Fate-dominating Emperor, I have finally found you. No matter what it takes, I will kill you before you grow up and save all sentient beings in all heaven myriad worlds." Chapter 533 The Rules. Wang Wei felt that he had forgotten something, and right when he was about to try to remember, a bright light appeared in front of the room, and an odd woman wearing a mask appeared. She had the same mask as Lord Spirit, half smiling naively and the other full of cunningness. Unlike Lord Spirit, this woman had a lower body but appeared slightly transparent, like a phantom. She opened her mouth to speak and a deep male voice came out, "Welcome, fellow heaven chosens from the endless void." No one cared about the anomaly between her voice and visage. The cultivating world was full of weird and strange things. "To make things easier for everyone, you can call me Lord Spirit and I will be in charge of the trial. Now, before you can enjoy your dinner, I will tell you the rules of this inheritance. There are 8 categories to be tested: fleshly body, soul, energy control, comprehension, Tao heart, willpower, battle prowess, and one final test that I can only say is vital. Lord Spirit paused to give everybody time to process the information before continuing. Based on your result in each category, you will receive points that will determine your ranking. Be mindful that the last test is precious and worth plenty of points. It could be the determining factor of this inheritance trial. Any question? Is it true the Deceiving Heaven Longevity Sutra is an insurgent scripture? Asked someone. That is correct. So, any lucky ones who go home with it will significantly contribute to your factions. The aura of the room slightly changed as many people paid close attention. Senior Gu Xian was from the Myriad Emperor world. You will not be biased? Asked another person, raising attention to Wang Wei's table. If that were a problem, the Lord would have just chosen his successor solely from Myriad Emperor world, replied Lord Spirit calmly. Many people agreed with these words, while some remained skeptical. Nevertheless, Lord Spirit continued, if there is no more question, let's continue to the main event. She waved his hand and 6 golden chairs appeared behind her, labeled 1 through 6. Each stair stood slightly above the others, so the number 1 spot was the highest. For the combat aspect of this trial, things will be a little different. The Lord has chosen 6 seeded players who will receive a token. After the final test, the token can be exchanged for points, and you could guess that the higher the ranking, the more points it is worth. Everyone looked at the trial spirit with fire in their eyes. As the peak geniuses of their respective world, competition has become an integral part of their characters. So, no matter what, they wanted to be the best. There are some rules to follow, continued Lord Spirit, not minding these people's intense emotions. Non-seeded can challenge seeded players at all times and use whatever means necessary to take the token. Seeded players, however, can only challenge the person 1 rank above them. So, the 6th place can only challenge 5th place to 4th place and so on. Furthermore, the seeded challenger needed certain points before challenging another seeded player. Everyone present is intelligent, so they understand the rules. Seeded players could not easily challenge each other, and they needed to perform well on the 8 trials before challenging each other. Meanwhile, the non-seeded players could attack the seeded players to get the token, with no restrictions on the method used. Essentially, a practice heaven will battle with some rules and restrictions, thought Wang Wei, and many people felt the same way. Now, let's begin the selection for the seeded players, said the Lord Spirit with a weird smile, fully playing in the deception persona. In the 6th place we have Su Shi from the Myriad Emperor world. Her primordial chaos physique is the combination of 9 absolute chaos physiques, and it is something that has never been heard of in the endless void. Everyone looked at the Myriad Emperor world's table, focusing on that beautiful woman that heaven seemed to have taken its time when creating her. Meanwhile, Su Shi frowned after hearing she was only in 6th place. Nevertheless, she walked to the 6th throne and sat down. Lord Spirit watched her with a smile while thinking to himself. It was hard to choose between her and Feng Hen. However, the latter seemed determined to hide his full strength, so he can only lose the spot. The 5th spot goes to Mu Lei from the Star Beast world. The owner of the 2nd heavenly physique, the Heavy Axe physique, and a genius who has received the highest grade of ancient star symbols in 100 generations. Mu Lei calmly walked to his spot, but many people also became nervous once they realized the criteria for these seeded players. The 4th spot goes to Ji Lanfang from the Immortal Ascension world, the supreme swordsman with the very earned title of 1 sword. A young man with disheveled hair and a gourd on his waist stood up. Immediately, everyone could smell the intense odor of alcohol emanating from his body. He walked wobbly to this throne while muttering, I hope one of these people can make me swing my sword a 2nd time. Oh, I miss the old days. Although his voice was soft to the point of being inaudible, with all the cultivation of all the people present, they could hear him. So, a bunch of people gave him killing stares. Nevertheless, Ji Lanfang did not care or was too drunk to. The 3rd spot goes to Yi Dafu from the primordial demon world. A demon with 2 innate demons bloodline, the 3-eye stone monkey and disaster monkey. A monkey wearing dark and gold armor, holding a red pole on his shoulder, looked at the people in the room. Your father is only 3rd? I want to see who is so bold to be above this monkey. Anyway, they will taste my staff. After saying that, he jumped in the air, did a flip and landed on his chair. Many people looked at him with a severe look. The 3-eye spiritual monkey and the disaster monkey were 2 innate demons known for their extreme battle prowess. Back in that era, in some world communities, they were the leader of innate demons instead of dragons and phoenixes. Now, they actually met someone with both these bloodlines and he could only be ranked 3rd. Everyone wanted to know who was above him. In the second place we have Wang Wei from the Myriad Emperor world. Owner of the Fate Puppeteer physique that he created himself and acknowledged by Heavenly Tao. On top of all that, he is a true Power Tao powerhouse of the second level. Wang Wei walked to his spot, already expecting this outcome. He sat on his throne looking at the monkey, giving him a fierce gaze. For a brief moment he thought this monkey was Sun Wuken's clone or something because of how he behaved himself. Mu Lei looked at his new commercial partner with a slight surprise as he did not expect the latter to be this powerful. He is also a true Power Tao cultivator, but he has only recently entered the first level and slowly walking his way up. But to his surprise he found someone in the same generation as him already in the second level. His fighting spirit suddenly elevated. He did not think he would lose despite the difference. After all, the true Power Tao only determined pure physical force and did not consider things like energy, law, spells and battle IQ. He does not think he would lose to anyone. The Lord Spirit ignored these people's chatter about how one could acquire their own heavenly physique and revealed the final seeded player. Chu Luo from the Emperor Tao world. An emperor child, born from two great emperors as parents. That is all I have to say about him. Chu Luo calmly walked to his seat, not minding other people's chatter. Although he had no facial expression, his body naturally emitted an arrogant and prideful aura, and no one would argue he did not deserve to be prideful. Emperor offsprings are very rare because it is difficult for an immortal creature to procreate with a mortal. At the same time, it is 1,000 times, if not more, challenging for two immortal creatures to give birth to offspring, especially in the lower dimension with how the world functions. So, for Chu Luo to be created, it is very likely that his parents would have been from different world communities and met and fell in love before luckily making him. I would like to preface that the seeded players were chosen based on talent and potential displayed during their rise. Many people have been hiding their strength and we also acknowledged our decision might be wrong. Hence, the reason you can challenge these individuals and take the token from them. The participants understood the reasoning behind Lord Spirit's words. For example, the primordial chaos physique should be way higher in this list based on potential, but since there has been no news or information about it since its appearance, it was ranked on the lower side. However, these people also know that Lord Spirit was also saying these words to remove any accountability on their part and encourage them to fight each other. Are there any rules about killing? Everyone looked at the person who spoke, and it was Yi Tweezy from the Demon Supremacy world, also called Young Master Yi. He looked like an ordinary person except for his tiger pupils. An aura of fury could be seen emanating from him. A few people knew the reason for his anger. According to their information, Young Master Yi was a Tao child born to two Tao ancestors. So, he was obviously not happy about not becoming a seeded player. We will not intervene in any of the conflicts between the participants. So, your lives are in your hands, replied Lord Spirit. Excellent, said Young Master Yi, looking at the seeded players, focusing on the humans and not hiding his hatred and disgust. Then, his eyes focused on Wang Wei before snorting coldly. Young Master Yi was not the only person not happy with Wang Wei's second position. There was an immortal child named Shi Qian, born from two immortal venerable, and she felt she deserved the second spot, especially since she was a member of the light race who fed on positive karma. Then, a group from the barbarian race felt an uncontrollable hatred for Wang Wei, but they could not explain why. Even a member of the divine race, believed to be extinct after the Buddhist cataclysm, appeared in this trial. As Wang Wei sensed these malicious gazes, he smiled. Things were about to get interesting. Chapter 534 The Blessed Ones. Wang Wei heard the whispers about Yi Tweezy and the fact he was a Tao child. He wanted to know more information, so he secretly contacted Ancestor Wuqing through Divine Sense. You want to know about these blessed people? Said Wang Wuqing, his voice even containing slight envy. As you can guess, whether it is Emperor, Tao or Immortal Child, their talents are out of this world. However, they are considered blessed people because of their unique abilities. Emperor and Tao Childs are born immortal. The moment they are conceived, they do not have to worry about lifespan, unless their parents sealed them. That made sense, commented Wang Wei. After all, they were born from two immortal beings or higher dimensional creatures. What about Immortal Childs? They are not immortal. They can live to the limit of mortal lifespan, which is 1 yuan epoch. Wang Wei was slightly surprised, but considering that 1 yuan epoch equaled 1,269 trillion years, these immortal children were essentially immortal since they did not have to worry much about lifespans. So, the highest lifespan any cultivation system can grant is 1 yuan epoch? Asked Wang Wei. Yes, but focus on the important thing. You're right. Please continue. Emperor children are also called born emperors in the lower dimension because all of them have one bloodline ability with the power of Tao ancestor. Throughout their life they can only use it once. So, as long as they used it during their heaven-will battle, they are guaranteed to win and prove the Tao. Exactly. Fate is truly unfair, said Wang Wei with a sigh. Why are you complaining? How high is your birth compared to 99% of most cultivators? Wang Wei was slightly embarrassed because of this, but he did not show up. Instead, he thought about Emperor Childs and the effect of their existence on any world. He guessed that most other factions would probably do anything possible to force these Emperor Childs to use their bloodline ability before the heaven-will battle, unless their parents were still present and hiding in the lower dimension. At the same time, these Emperor children could just hide and show up during the heaven-will battle and take the heaven-will for themselves. Of course, they would still need to cultivate and temper their Tao hearts. Otherwise, they would only become pseudo-emperors. Wang Wei then asked, what about Tao Childs? They are born with a Tao source seed inside their bodies. When they reach the necessary cultivation realm, as long as they understand their own Tao, the seed will activate, and they can become Tao ancestors. Still unfair. Wang Wuqing ignored his complaints before continuing, you should be careful. Some Tao children can sacrifice their Tao source seed to temporarily gain the power of 1 to 2 leaf Immortal Venerable. Although less than 1 in 1 million have the talent to do this, you should watch out. So, these Tao Childs are all potential emperors? Commented Wang Wei. Basically. Wang Wei guessed that maybe some people desired the Tao source seed inside their bodies. However, they should be safe since their parents probably live in the lower dimension. What about immortal childs? As for them, their ability is not to be shackled by the heaven will's karma. So, they can fight in each generation without the need of a great emperor to wash away karma for them. With their long lifespan, this is still a great ability, commented Wang Wei. I'm suddenly curious. Does our sect has or ever had one of these blessed individuals? We did. The Hell Judgment Emperor was a Tao child, and we have an immortal child still in his mother's womb. If you did not come along, he would have been our solution to the 9 Emperor curse. The Hell Judgment Emperor was the Wang clan's 4th Emperor and the sect's 7th Great Emperor. He lived during the Devil Era and cultivated the Tao of Judgment, which significantly affected the Devil race because of their sins. Wang Wei suddenly realized the majority of the sect's emperors were during the Devil Era. Qiyuan Emperor and Sword Emperor were during the Ancient Emperor Era. Ancient Desolate Emperor, the 3rd Emperor, was during the Incense Era. The 4th Emperor was Turtle Shell, the 5th Battle Maniac, the 6th Emperor was the Miscellaneous Study, the 7th was the Hell Judgment Emperor, and the 8th the Shadow Ruler Emperor. From the 4th to the 8th, they were all during the Devil Emperor, most likely the result of the spirit of epic functioning. The Rainbow Emperor is the 9th, and she only appeared at the beginning of the Middle Emperor Era, when the Enlightening Emperor Academy was rising. Most likely, the spirit of epic was already transferred to them. I can't believe how rare these people are that we only had 2 of them in our entire history, commented Wang Wei. If you count all of them that had shown up in the Myriad Emperor world, there are probably 10 or more but would not reach 20. Don't these people have any things like bloodline restrictions similar to the Divine League people? No. On the contrary, their parents' Tao will be engraved in their bloodline similar to the law fragment of people with heavenly physiques. They can use it to understand their own Tao, or simply use it as bloodline abilities. Wang Wei sighed before asking something else. Thinking about the privilege of these blessed children makes him envious. How is the investigation of the Commerce Hub? I received news that Shadow 2 had just arrived and is investigating things. We have also begun to investigate the world some of these Heaven Chosens are from, but things are going slowly. The Shadow 2 mentioned in this conversation was not the one next to Wang Wei, but the shadow cultivated by the Rainbow Emperor using the Lord's Shadow technique. Wang Wei knew the Rainbow Emperor was the only emperor who personally cultivated 2 insurgents, Shadow 2 and Rainbow 1. All right, said Wang Wei before stopping the conversation. He then glanced at Jianghu Hua before continuing drinking at his second seat. Compared to Emperor Child's abilities, Emperor Offsprings seemed normal. Although Emperor Offsprings have a longer lifespan than ordinary people, have high talents, and even have some powerful divine abilities, it is nothing compared to Emperor Childs or Tao Childs. Their capabilities drastically decrease because one of their parents is immortal. In one of the dinner spots, a group of tall individuals looked intently at Wang Wei. The shortest was 2.5 meters and the tallest was 3.2 meters. Young Master Taoyui, why do I feel this uncontrollable hatred for that man? Young Master Taoyui was the tallest of the group. He had a leather upper shirt made of animal hide. The shirt had no sleeve, showing his strong muscles and slightly tanned skin full of tattoos. He accompanied his shirt, long pants, high boots, and a white lion head on his right shoulder, serving as an accessory. With a calm look he responded, "It's an aura of hatred ingrained deep in his bloodline. Most likely, his ancestors committed some atrocities to our barbarian kind." Taoyui looked at the person next to him. "Sister, what do you think we should do?" The person next to him was a woman dressed similarly. She had a leather shirt with no sleeve, displaying an exceptional pair of bosoms. She had a short skirt and a pair of long legs that were the perfect amount of muscular that could entice anyone, but not too muscular to appear manly. She had braids and beards in her hair and tattoos on her arms like her brother. In general, she had a wild and passionate beauty that was quite captivating. "Do you think you would accept being my husband?" asked Kudalin. "Be serious." "I am. You know I will only marry someone who can withstand my strength, and he might be the one I'm looking for." "If you're seriously looking for a strong man, why don't you pick that Chu Luo? Supposedly he is the most powerful person here." "He looked too feminine for my taste." "All right, be serious. What do you think we should do about this hatred? Should we attack him?" "We will attack, but not for this silly hatred. Whatever happened to the barbarian race in the Myriad Emperor world has nothing to do with our ancient spirit world," she replied calmly. "In that case, do we attack right after this dinner?" "Of course not. We must first observe how capable he is and try to gather as much information as possible. Furthermore, let's first test the 6th place before working our way up." "All right." The dinner party continued for another hour before it ended. Then, everybody became on guard, especially the seated players. Wang Wei and the others walked out of the venue before quickly separating their ways. Wang Wei walked to his mansion while expanding his innate shield to dozens of meters of the surrounding. In his way, many people attacked him to no avail. However, he was slightly surprised by the small number of attackers. However, after pondering about it briefly, everything made sense. All the heaven-chosen presence were the pinnacle of their world, so these guys would not make rash decisions despite the blatant provocation of the Lord Spirit. They will calm down and try to gather information on their competitors first. Li Jun sat next to a beautiful girl in one of the restaurants not far from the dinner party. "Mimi, drink more. Tonight we will have fun." "Xiao Jun, you treat me the best," said the girl before gulping most of the drink in the bowl. "You know, I've been under much stress by sect even though they know I have no chance of winning the Heavenly battle in this generation. None of us have a chance." "Well, how so?" asked Li Jun while pouring more wine for her, knowing it was the right time he was waiting for. "It's that monster Chu Luo," she said before gulping everything again, her face red and eyes blurred. "Do you know that he—" Chapter 535 Another 1 inch. "Do you know he is an old monster that has lived for a long time?" said Mimi. "Well, he is an emperor child, so it's normal to have a long lifespan," said Li Jun. "That's not it. For some reason that monster would reincarnate himself over and over and over and over and— Why does he do that?" said Li Jun, cutting her tangent. "I don't know. All I know is that in each reincarnation Chu Luo will challenge all the heaven-chosen right before the Heavenly battle. He would defeat them but never participate in the battle himself. How could your sect expect you to win against such a monster?" "I know, right? I knew you understood me best, Xiao Jun. Don't they know even if you win his parents could show up to make trouble for them?" said Li Jun. "That's right. Well, I think his parents are long gone since they have never appeared." "Is that so?" Li Jun said softly. "One of his parents must have been from the Emperor Dao world. Do you know anything about them?" Regrettably, Mimi had fallen asleep drunk, making Li Jun frown. He thought he had used the appropriate dose for a more extended conversation, but it appeared he overestimated her drinking capacities. After shaking his head, he left. He knew it was pointless to search the girl's soul as a cultivator's natural danger instinct would activate and wake her up. So, he went straight home to give the information to Wang Wei. As expected, he is similar to Di Tian. Yes, and most likely even more powerful since he is also an emperor child. "Maybe," replied Wang Wei. His intuition told him that although they had both reincarnated many times and had a similar foundation, Di Tian was more powerful than Chu Luo. Logically this made sense. After all, their level of tempering or law understanding might be different in each reincarnation. So, even if Chu Luo and Di Tian lived 9 lives and absorbed the strength of each life, their power would be different. "Things are not looking too good for me," said Wang Wei as he closed his eyes to check on his reincarnations. Only 2 of them reached the quasi-emperor realm and achieved their goals. But even those 2 have not finished tempering their bodies. He can borrow the strength of these 2 incarnations. Still, it was not enough to reach the strength of 1 leaf immortal venerable, let alone his prediction that all 9 incarnations' power could grant him the power of Tao ancestor. He first checked on the spacetime incarnation. The latter sat on a throne located inside the river of time. Using this world's flaw, he began navigating through parallel timelines. This incarnation could experience the outcome if he made different decisions and the consequences of his actions. Furthermore, he could also bring back resources and knowledge from the different parallel timelines to the main one. Wang Wei sensed all the experience and law understanding of this incarnation. His understanding and control of spacetime laws had drastically increased. Furthermore, since the incarnation got his memories back in the Supreme Realm, he developed many techniques that Wang Wei would have created himself. Main body, when are we fusing? The others are not even close to being ready yet, so we have to wait a while. You know, I still resent you for all my suffering when my memories were sealed. Wang Wei's projection shrugged his shoulder. If you don't suffer, how am I going to temper my state of mind and Tao heart? The spacetime incarnation smacked his lips before ignoring the main body. For a moment he forgot how shameless he could be. Meanwhile, Wang Wei smiled before projecting himself to another world using the soul network. As soon as his projection occurred, he closed his eyes and sensed something, as expected. Without the river of time flaw, I cannot travel to parallel timelines. I can see some of them but not physically travel there. Wang Wei then traveled to a few other worlds, including some in the martial supremacy world community, to ensure the correct conclusions. Unfortunately, it was. Finally, he checked on the second and currently most powerful incarnation, the free will incarnation. Once this incarnation reached a specific strength, Wang Wei dropped him into a great thousand world like the others. Well, this guy is technically stronger than me now, thought Wang Wei when he sensed the latter's power. It had already condensed black holes in the primary 1962 acupoints and was currently opening the artificial ones. How is your mission going? More difficult than I anticipated, replied the incarnation, who also sat on a throne inside the River of Fate. I've tried many things to completely remove the River of Fate's influence on this world and grant the people's freedom, but every time I'm close to success, the main branch of the Fate River will intervene and stop me. Wang Wei frowned after hearing this. How about you start from a low-grade thousand world? Better yet, found a mortal world, their River of Fate should be even weaker. Mortal worlds were worlds with no spiritual energy, hence no capabilities for people to cultivate. Only mortals and ordinary lived there. Most mortal worlds are the result of low thousand worlds being destroyed for some reason, and they are incredibly fragile and could be eradicated at any moment. I already thought of that and sent people to search for one. However, without your divination ability, it's not so easy to find any worlds in the endless void. Wang Wei nodded before using the soul network and divination to find a few mortal worlds for the free will incarnation. After giving the latter the coordinates, he ended his projection and returned to the trial. He suddenly gathered all the strength and power of these 2 incarnations. Wang Wei has never been so strong before. The current him could slap the previous him to oblivion. He sighed out loud before dispersing the incarnation's power. The only advantage I have is time. The longer this trial takes, the more time I have for my incarnations to grow up. Afterward, he checked on the other incarnations. They had all just entered primordial spirit realm and tempered their blood. I still need the resource group for one last incarnation, muttered Wang Wei. He then used his sect master's token to mobilize a few immortal powerhouses. He tasked them to control the time acceleration arrays where his incarnations were instead of leaving them to operate independently. With his previous time crystals and these immortal powerhouses, he could drastically reduce the time needed. Then Wang Wei spent the next few days inside his manor. He ignored all the attacks on the mansion's array or their curse words to anger and lured him out. Meanwhile, Li Jun would often go out to fight these people. Then one day he sensed a large explosion not far from his mansion. After checking outside he walked out. Susher? He thought as he looked at the person fighting in the sky. Demon Supremacy Residence. Yi Tuizi had a terrible aura on his body as he looked at the humanoid chameleon kneeling before him. How is the result? We have failed to infiltrate the Myriad Emperor world. Why? For some reason, the factions there have banded together to prevent outside fluence from easily getting inside. Yi Tuizi frowned as he pondered deeply. He analyzed the situation before concluding this should be related to the actions other planes took that resulted in the creation of the Heaven Devourer Emperor. So, the people of the Myriad Emperor world are now on guard, he thought. Is there any way to infiltrate? There is, but it will take some time. How long? According to our estimate, at least 6 months. That's too long, said Yi Tuizi, as he did not want to wait so long. He could barely accept not being as good the Emperor child, but he would never accept someone else to get the second position. Young master, if I may say something. Speak. It is obvious the Lord Spirit wants you to go after this Wang Wei. Of course Yi Tuizi knew this. With his talent, how could he not be a seeded player? Nevertheless, his pride would not allow him to accept such disrespect, especially from a human. The Myriad Emperor world should have members of the demon clan, right? Highly possible. In that case, tell my father to go borrow the bloodline mirror for me. I should be able to contact the demon clan there and learn some information. As you command. The chameleon disappeared before returning a few hours later, bringing a blood mirror with designs of animals on its back. You can leave now. Young master, you should know even with your status, the Demon Supremacy Alliance will not allow you to use such a high-level chaos treasure without surveillance. Yi Tuizi frowned with annoyance but did not say anything more. He took a drop of blood from his body and used it to activate the mirror, then used his divine sense to impute the Myriad Emperor world's coordinate. A few minutes later, a face appeared in the mirror. Who are you? How did you contact me and bypass our tribe's formation? Yi Tuizi did not waste time. He displayed his bloodline aura and transmitted it to the person on the other side. Such pure and noble bloodline. Your Excellency, I am the Black Tiger tribe's chief. And who might you be? I am the next patriarch of the Hell Tiger clan, Yi Tuizi. I need some information from you. Then the two chatted for over half an hour before ending their communication. However, Yi Tuizi was not happy. Although he gathered the information he needed, he failed to establish diplomatic relations with the Myriad Emperor world's demon clan. When he brought the topic up, he could see the slight fear in the latter's eyes. The fear of humans. How disgusting. With this brief interaction, he could summarize how terrible the lives of the demon race were in that world and how much they were oppressed. It does not matter. I can still take my time for the alliance. As for this Wang Wei, although he is powerful, it is not enough for me to be too weary. Suddenly Yi Tuizi felt something and walked out of his mansion. Someone from the Myriad Emperor world is fighting the barbarians? This should be fun. Chapter 536 Su Shi vs. Barbarian Siblings. Wang Wei looked at Li Jun, who had just landed next to him. He was in terrible shape. He had blood all over his face and bare upper body. He had purple spots on his left arm, indicating someone had poisoned him. How are you in such a terrible state? These participants are crazy. They'll do anything to kill people in their ways, Li Jun said with excitement. After seeing this fighting madman enjoying himself, Wang Wei ignored him and focused on Su Shi's battle. The two barbarian leaders, Taoyui and Kudalin, stood before her, displaying aggressive auras. So, you guys think I am a soft persimmon you can pinch easily? Su Shi said, releasing an ancient aura full of power, vicissitudes and nobility, a primordial aura. Yes, we do, replied Kudalin. Brother. Then the two rushed toward her. Taoyui punched her in the face while his sister went for a kick on the ribs. Unfortunately for them, a black aura naturally came out of Su Shi's body and bounced their attacks back, sending them flying away a few meters away. They immediately frowned as they sensed that the aura injured the part of their bodies touched. The injury was not severe and instantly healed because of their fleshly body, it was still abnormal. The two siblings looked at each other and communicated through their eyes. Immediately afterward, they went on the offensive again. This time they mobilized their fleshly Bodis blood energy to protect themselves. Meanwhile, Su Shi did not want to fight for long with these people and revealed all her abilities. She opened her mouth to sing a beautiful and melodic piece of music. Blood spilled from Taoyui and Kuchelin's eyes as the sound wave from Su Shi's voice instantly destroyed their eardrums and even attacked their brains directly. Despite the tremendous pain of this attack, Taoyui summoned a giant bow more than 5 meters long. He pulled the strings and his muscles bulged in the process, showing how difficult of a process. Swish. The arrow traveled countless times the speed of light, heading straight for Su Shi's throat. She flew in the sky to evade without stopping to sing. Nevertheless, the arrow followed her. So, she changed direction many times in the sky, but to no avail. In the end, she slapped the arrow away. At that exact moment, Kudalin replaced the arrow's position, holding a black axe and slashing it down. Boom. Su Shi crashed to the ground, destroying numerous houses in the city. However, after the dust of her crash blew away, she appeared before everyone, not even a scratch on her beautiful skin. She raised her head to look at the two calmly. Then her surroundings seemed blurry, as if the passage of time was slowed down. Then she suddenly appeared next to Kudalin to punch her. However, the barbarian reacted in time and disappeared. Shadow displacement. So, her main Dao is law, thought Su Shi, who did not stop her punching her action despite her opponent already gone. Then something magical occurred. The spot where Kudalin disappeared suddenly changed, and she reappeared right before Su Shi's punch. Time reversal? Her last thought was before her head exploded due to the punch and her body crashed to the ground. At the same time, Taoyu's arrow hit Su Shi's heart. However, it did no damage. The moment the arrow came a few seconds close to touching her clothes, it decayed and disappeared since it was made from Taoyu's energy. Sister, we can no longer hold back, suddenly yelled Taoyui as the tattoos on his arm lit up. Then a dragon-like creature appeared behind him. It had a pair of wings, a deer's head and a snake's tail. Philian, thought all the spectators. It is common knowledge that most demon races came from innate demons. As such, there is a particular group of demon races called primogenitor demon. They were the first demon clan created by the innate demons and were crucial to the innate acquire war. Many people believe the primogenitor demons to be the perfect combination of innate and acquired lifeforms. And during the war, many of them sided with the acquired species and became a real problem after acquiring the heaven will. Their contribution to the war was on par with degraded demons, innate demons who abandoned their innate nature to become acquired races. Many of them did that to infiltrate the heaven will worlds, where only acquired races could prove the Tao and weaken that side. Others did it to escape the shackles of being an innate life form. For example, three-legged golden crows are degraded demons. However, they usually do not like that name to refer to themselves. Meanwhile, an enormous wolf with black fur and a snake for a tail appeared above where Kudalin landed. The wolf's fur appeared as if they were constructed from shadows themselves. Shadow Snake Wolf, another primogenitor demon. Kudalin flew to the sky, her tattoos glowing and her head perfectly intact. The Shadow Snake Wolf turned into a picture rune on her chest, and Taoyui did the same. Suddenly the aura of these two increased. Wing God arrows. In many worlds, different races referred to Philian as the god of wind. Today Taoyui showed the reason. Thousands of arrows descended on Su Shi at speed hundreds of times faster than the speed of light. Furthermore, once they arrived before her, they turned into these enormous tornadoes capable of destroying all matter, energy and even laws. They could destroy worlds. Nevertheless, she remained calm as she had the utmost faith in her husband's primal chaos art. However, she did not want to reveal the extent of her fleshly body for now, so she waved her hand. Then, all these arrows stopped midway in motion as she had reverted them to their state of inertia. Suddenly, Su Shi frowned as she sensed something directly attacking her soul and ignoring her Buddhist defense. Numerous tentacles suddenly appeared inside her sea of consciousness and attacked her primordial spirit. Controlling the shadows created by soul? What an ingenious application of shadow law. I should not underestimate my opponent. A bright light appeared in her sea of consciousness, dispersing all the shadows, which tried to fight off the light to no avail. All of these actions occurred in a blink of an eye, but it was still enough time for the barbarian siblings to go on the offensive. Spatial Wind Arrow. Taoyu's arrow bent spacetime as it traveled toward his opponent. The ripple created by bending spacetime generated wind made of space itself that could shred any matter, energy, or spiritual power. Shadow Confinement. A black dome covered Su Shi to prevent her escape, but the arrow easily passed through it. Nevertheless, she remained composed. The siblings sensed a terrible danger right before the arrow hit her, but it was too late for them to react. They suddenly found themselves inside the black dome, facing Taoyu's arrow, while their opponent was outside. Boom. The black dome exploded and the siblings fell from the sky, their bodies mutilated and their souls injured. Everyone knew they would not get back up. What exactly did she do? Asked Li Jun. I could sense the subtle power of time, but I could not completely detect her actions. Time exchange. She exchanged their time to achieve spatial displacement. With your reaction speed, you would not fall for this move. The siblings underestimated her. I see. Can you do that? Of course, and I can even do it better. Wang Wei was not lying. He could use space, time, fate, and even shadows to achieve the same effect. Do you think I can beat her in a fight? I honestly do not know. She seems to be hiding a lot of things. Wang Wei then looked at the barbarian siblings. He could see the unwillingness on Kuchelin's face. She regretted not being able to use her full power and even her trump card. I hope she gets her chance at revenge. For Wang Wei, the more the myriad Emperor World's people fought, the better for him since he could gather information about them. Although he did not consider most of his competitors a threat, he would not let his guard down before the final battle. Looking at the injured siblings, he took the opportunity while they were weak and helpless to read their fate lines and gather some information. The ancient spirit world is interesting, including their cultivation system. Did you find something? Yes. There is a unique dimension where many spirits of fallen demon races will be born. After tempering their bodies to a certain level, the cultivators in that world will journey through the ancient spirit realm to defeat and subdue a spirit that can even help them comprehend laws. That's indeed unique. What level of spirits is there? Apparently, there are even innate gods and great emperors who became spirits. However, it seems that few people could acquire them. Isn't that a little too overpowered? I'm sure there are some limitations. Plus, I bet some great emperors are using this as a method to resurrect themselves. That makes sense. Then, the two looked in the same direction as someone approached them. So, young Master Yi, you could no longer wait. Why would I need to wait for a human like you? You say that, yet you waited a week before taking action, replied Wang Wei casually. Chapter 537 Dao Child's Provocation. Wang Wei looked up and down at this person, and his mouth almost twitched. He sensed a unique aura from this Yi Tuji. It was the aura of an outlaw. This person cultivated an outlaw Dao, but he had not passed his trial yet. So, am I his trial? Thought Wang Wei. He quickly divined the secrets of heaven. He was not necessarily Yi Tuizi's trial, but someone in this trial was. So, it could be him or any of the other heaven chosen. However, considering everyone's displayed strength and potential, could be him or Chu Luo. Many thoughts flashed across Wang Wei's mind as he pondered whether to confront Yi Tuizi or just hide. He did not want to be Heavenly Dao's pawn. As for his reputation of running away from a battle, he did not care about such a thing. After all, the trial's rules only implied it was forbidden to run away. There were no rules that expressly prohibited such an act. While these two titans were about to clash, the situation on Su Shi's side suddenly changed. Someone else appeared before her, most likely intending to challenge her too. Shi Qian, don't you feel any shame targeting me after depleting my stamina? Su Shi said. You should understand that this trial's rules are the same as the Heavenly battle. Anything goes. Plus, are you exhausted? Where is your pride as an immortal child? Pride? Can I eat it? Can it make me stronger? Su Shi squinted her eyes, looking at this so openly shameless woman. Many thoughts flashed across her mind as she analyzed the situation. Then, without hesitation, she took her token and threw it to Shi Qian, an act that surprised her. This was a calculated move on Su Shi's part. The sixth-seated place was unique as too many vied for this position. Although she had confidence in herself, she did not want to reveal too much of her strength before she saw how the other parts of the competition took place. Of course, Su Shi would not give up this trial. The deceiving heaven longevity art was too valuable for her. She did not want this technique to contribute to another insurgent technique in the academy. Her true goal was to use this technique to deceive heaven that her husband had passed the outlaw trial and revived him using this method. If not, at least deceive heavens that he failed his trial but survived. Su Shi did not know whether this technique could accomplish something like this. However, this was her first chance at reviving him, so she wanted to try no matter what. So, she gave Shi Qian one last look before returning to her mansion and activating the arrays. No matter what, she would retake the token, possibly one of an even higher place. Su Shi's actions surprised Shi Qian along with many people. However, after a brief analysis, many people realized this was a genius move. At this point in the trial, all the seeded tokens are nothing but hot potatoes. Other competitors can attack seeded players, but even they can only defend their position. So, as of now, they have a weaker hand. Shi Qian looked at the token in her hand, her eyes shining brightly. Like Su Shi, she did not want the final scripture because of its implications for her factions or family. She wanted to see if she could deceive heavens that she was a Dao child that could control their Dao source seed or even an emperor child. Typically, such heaven-defying methods should not be possible. The enormous gap between mortals and immortals would make it impossible for a mortal, no matter how talented, to deceive heavens that he was an immortal child or another blessed one. True heavenly Tao has always been very strict regarding things such as this. However, as one of the three blessed beings, she believed she had a chance at succeeding. And once she does, she is guaranteed to prove the Tao and become a great emperor. After thinking about all of these, Xianxia looked at her surrounding, waiting to see if anyone would challenge her. However, no one did so as they focused on the confrontation between Wang Wei and Yi Tuizi. In this brief distraction, Wang Wei had already made a decision regarding this battle. He received a hint that the quickest way to gather the resources needed for this final incarnation was through this young Master Yi. So he could not resist the temptation. Nevertheless, he also needed to be cautious. He looked at the killing intent emanating from Yi Tuizi, and Wang Wei cracked his neck. It's been a while since he let loose and he had the chance now, especially since the trial space was strengthened to withstand all their powers. Otherwise, Su Shi's previous battle would have created devastating destruction to the surrounding. I genuinely hate it when I see confident humans like you. Thinking how powerful most of your kind is in other worlds makes me sick. Wang Wei calmly looked at him. Typically, he would try to understand his opponent's mindset, history, or background. But this time he did not care. I don't like how you look at me, said Wang Wei. So, let's begin with your eyes. Before Yi Tuizi could react, Wang Wei appeared in front of him with speed beyond his reaction and time. Then he ripped his eyeballs from their sockets. Young Master screamed out loud as he felt pain unlike he had ever experienced in his 1,000 years of life. How could he resist? After all, Wang Wei had not used his pain innate talent for a long time despite continuing to train this ability, so he can magnify the pain of all his attacks by factors of millions if not more. As Wang Wei watched the eyeballs regenerate, he grabbed Yi Tuizi by the head and flew to the sky like he was holding a helpless chicken. In his flying paths, hundreds of blue stars appeared. Wang Wei used the star essence in his acupoints and mixed them with the chaos flame inside his heart to create these chaos stars. As he ran Yi Tuizi through the first one, the tiger demon screamed as the chaos flame burned every atom of his flesh, not even sparing his soul. But it was not the end. Wang Wei held him with a firm grip, preventing him from moving an inch before running him through close to 100 stars. Enough! Roared Yi Tuizi, creating a shockwave that pushed Wang Wei away. At the same time, a yin breath emanated from his body as the blue star became encased in black ice. Yi Tuizi looked at his opponent, fury oozing from every pore in his body. The aura he released slightly bent the space around him. At this point, he only had half of his body left while the other half had already turned into ashes. Young Master Yi opened his mouth to instantly swallowed 5 of the chaos stars before Wang Wei placed them away. Then, in an instant, his body regenerated. God of Death's judgment. A phantom of an enormous man with red skin, a long beard, and wearing a traditional black robe and a judge's cap with the 2 characters of King and Death. The phantom took out a book and a brush, looked deeply at Wang Wei before flipping to a page and wrote his name. A bloodline divine ability? Thought Wang Wei as he sensed this technique came from Yi Tuizi's body instead of something cast or used through law comprehension. A white light descended from the sky and enveloped Wang Wei. However, to everyone's surprise, nothing else happened. Trying to judge my sins based on karma? Shouldn't you know better after what happened during the dinner? Said Wang Wei as he shook his head. He waved his hand to manifest an enormous hand that ripped the book and brush from this phantom's hand. Then the hand wrote a name in the book. Yi Tuizi's face became ugly after seeing this and quickly deactivated his bloodline ability. Unfortunately, it was slightly too late, so he suffered backlash by vomiting a mouthful of blood, and his complexion became paler. Wang Wei once again appeared before him and kicked him straight in his face, sending him crashing to the ground. I must say, you truly have one of these faces that people simply want to stomp on. Everything became eerily quiet for a moment before loud waves of laughter echoed throughout the city. The people watching, especially the humans, could not help laughing after hearing this. None of them liked how these demons from the demon supremacy world treated humans, and they were weary of their ideologies of suppressing and eradicating humans. So, it brought them great joy to see Yi Tuizi mistreated like this. Screw all of you, roared young Master Yi as his overwhelming hatred suppressed the unsurmountable pain he currently felt. An ugly creature suddenly appeared behind him. It was only a head with red eyes and wrinkles resembling scales. The creature then opened its mouth wider than a python trying to swallow an elephant, displaying all its fangs. There were thousands of them, making people wonder if they all fit inside. Taotai was the name that appeared on everybody's mind. Chapter 538 The Unorthodox Wei-Taoties were a unique race throughout the endless void because of how they were born. Most worlds followed the same path of development after their inceptions. There were disorder chaos chi all over these worlds, making it impossible for any life forms to be born. After many years, the disorder chaos chi became orderly chaos chi, and heavenly Tao created the first innate life forms. A few required chaos chi to be bred, but they are still considered innate life forms. Now Taotais are different. They are creatures directly bred from the disorder chaos chi and as such, are considered chaos life forms. Very few creatures are considered chaos life forms in the endless void. The number could probably be counted on one hand. However, they usually have a few things in common. They are extremely powerful and uncontrollable. They can all be described as mad, living only for the desire of destruction. The Taotai summoned by Yi Tuizi opened its mouth and swallowed everything and everyone within 100 meters diameter around him. The houses, people, and spiritual energy. The weak participants, the aid they brought, and the maid the trial gave all participants could not resist or react in time as the mouth devoured their flesh, blood, and soul. A little provocation and this guy turns almost everyone against him, thought Wang Wei. So far, there has been an unwritten rule not to involve innocent people like the maid or the people working in the city in this competition. But Yi Tuizi did not care and broke the rule. Many people Euro, including his kind from other worlds Euro, will officially turn him during this competition. With just one move he becomes alienated. Wang Wei looked at the Taotai with calmness. He was not scared since he knew it was not the real thing. Otherwise, he would have run away and called for his ancestor. The beast was only a manifestation of Yi Tuizi's law of devouring. Yi Tuizi healed his cracked skull and took a deep breath to calm down. Then his body morphed into a tiger the size of a mountain with red stripes on its back and 2 bull horns. He disappeared before reappearing in front of Wang Wei. The Taotai behind him opened its mouth with the intent of swallowing the small thing in front of him. After calming down, Yi Tuizi realized this was an opportunity for him. His strength would drastically increase as long as he could swallow this human. Meanwhile, Wang Wei had plenty of time to think. Gravity is a part of the devouring Tao. So, he used its power to pull and fold space and achieve teleportation. These heaven chosens are nothing to scoff. Small luminous dots appeared in different spots on his body. Knowledgeable individuals knew these were the physical manifestations of his acupoints. Then a terrifying swallowing power came from Wang Wei's body, canceling Yi Tuizi's before he punched the tiger. Boom. The surrounding space bend as shockwaves travels outward a few dozens of meters. However, this attack did no damage to Yi Tuizi as he devoured the force behind the attack. Additionally, Wang Wei's keen senses detected that the latter's fleshly body suddenly became more powerful. Albeit the increase was well hidden, he could still detect it. The increase in strength is too large, thought Wang Wei. Although the law of devour can devour everything to help its user's development, there is still a limit based on the individual. And according to his calculation, Yi Tuizi's growth exceeded his limit. He punched the tiger again with the same outcome. Nevertheless, he still learned something. His devouring Tao also involves something similar to growth law or evolution law, which allows him to better digest the things he swallowed. A perfect combination if I say so myself. Yi Tuizi raised his sharp claws, slashing at Wang Wei's face. Crack. Young Master Yes' face became ugly to look at. His claw Sayuro, which could easily slash through neutron star Sayuro, broke as they clashed with his opponent's face. Wang Wei raised his hand to punch him for the 3rd time, this time using the power of fate. Boom. Yi Tuizi flew away before crashing to the floor. When Wang Wei's fist touched him, he used fate law to determine the limit of his opponent's absorption power. Then the attack finally succeeded once the force behind his punch exceeded that limit. Tao Overlord, thought Chu Luo, who was watching the battle in the distance like many others. Deep in his eyes was slight envy. Meanwhile, Yi Tuizi quickly stood up from the ground, even going on the offensive. Bloodline divine ability, hell suppression. He appeared in front of his opponent and slammed down with his paw while the latter raised one hand to block crack. Small space cracks appeared underneath Wang Wei's feet, and with each second the cracks expanded in size. His mass and weight can increase infinitely? Thought Wang Wei as he felt the tiger's weight become drastically higher with each passing second. Based on his calculator, his fleshly body would not be able to bear it in half a minute. Many thoughts flashed across Wang Wei's mind in less than a nanosecond. He had many ways to deal with the situation. Use fate to limit the mass increase, use time to keep reverting it to weight that he could bear, or use yin-yang to make it so that his opponent became lighter with each passing second. In the end he chose a not-so-revealing method. He pretended he was struggling to block the attack. And at the exact moment Yi Tuizi's mass reached the limit of his fleshly body, he activated the gluttony swallowing scripture to absorb all the tiger's mass and weight and convert it into energy to increase the size of the more than 500 supermassive black holes inside his acupoints. Wang Wei felt it. In just a few seconds he increases his from 25,000 dragon elephant force to 50,000. So, now, he could destroy 50 million middle thousand worlds with one punch. Regrettably, he was still in the second layer of the true power Dao realm. At the same time, Wang Wei quickly sealed his increased strength since he felt he did not have proper control. Meanwhile, Yi Tuizi's black fur became slightly pale after having his strength swallowed. More importantly, he felt humiliated losing to someone else regarding the laws of Devour. Nevertheless, he acted quickly. He used the store power he kept in case of emergency to return to his peak state before continuing attacking. Bloodline Domain, Lord of Hell. Wang Wei suddenly felt the world around him change. He was no longer inside the Trials City floating in the air. He was now standing in a pool of lava. He could feel a creepy wind blowing around, containing the sound of grieving souls. Ordinary cultivators would have their spirit and soul affected by the wind and sound, but he did not care. Above his head was an enormous wheel with the character Good and Evil displaying its might. A terrifying devouring power emanated from everywhere, trying to devour everything that makes up his existence. The laws inside his body became extremely difficult to mobilize, the same for the origin essence inside his divine sea. If it was not for the quality of his soul, he sensed that even his spiritual power would have difficulty being used. A domain that combined his bloodline and his law? Thought Wang Wei, looking in the distance where Yi Tuizi had a humanoid shape, sitting on a throne with a book and pen floating before him. Without wasting time, he ordered his army composed of creatures with ox heads and horse faces to attack his opponent. In his domain these creatures were endless, and as long as he could tire his opponent, he could swallow him. Wang Wei quickly analyzed the situation before deciding to use overwhelming force to break this domain. After all, the environment was literally working against him. However, he stopped as he suddenly had a divine hint to use the power of a domain as well to break free. He knew these hints were a manifestation of his luck and destiny laws. They would give suggestions to do things that would be beneficial to him. So, Wang Wei wrapped his body with a slight power from the free will incarnation's domain and became free from the restriction of a domain. With this method he quickly escaped Yi Tuizi's bloodline domain. In the distance, Chu Luo squinted his eyes after seeing the method Wang Wei used to escape. The unorthodox method of the Nine Extremities Foundation, he muttered. Suddenly, the second-seeded player became an eyesore as he remembered two of his greatest failures. His parents informed him of the Nine Extremities Foundation as they encouraged him to walk that difficult path. They first suggested he use the unorthodox way since it was less time-consuming. They told him the 3 requirements for using this method. Firstly, the soul must be of sufficient quality. As an emperor child and with his parents' resources, he quickly met the requirement. The second requirement was to enter the Duyi realm. After learning about this secret cultivation realm, he developed a way to reach it, and with the protection of his parents, divine punishment thunder was not a big deal. Where he failed was the last requirement, having a tiny amount of understanding about his existence. He did not need the level required to be an eternal emperor, but enough so that when he fused with the other clones, there would be no problem, backlash, or loss of strength. Unfortunately, even after his father Euro, a pseudo-eternal Emperor Euro, preached his understanding of existence to him, he could not comprehend anything. His parents did not blame him since it is rare for anyone to understand anything regarding existence, without the heavenly will presenting the concept to any individual. To do so beforehand would require not only immense comprehension but also luck and maybe even the perfect environment. Nevertheless, Chu Luo never forgets the fleeting disappointment in his parents' eyes when he failed after numerous attempts. Ultimately, he had no choice but to use the orthodox method and reincarnate himself over and over while condensing a unique Dao inheritance seed that contained all his strength, bloodline, comprehension, etc., before absorbing it in his subsequent lives. Chapter 539 Survive? Yi Tuizi rushed out of his domain heading straight for his opponent. Despite not being inside, the domain still boosted all his strength. It only lost the effect of suppressing his opponent. Then the black tiger's eyes suddenly glowed red. Bloodline ability, Avasi Hell. Wang Wei then saw an illusion of countless demons tormenting his soul. So he secretly shook his head. Most people who fight him could see the anomaly of his soul after one attempt and be wise not to fight him on this field. Yet, this arrogant little demon seemed not to learn anything from the beginning of this fight. Wang Wei snorted coldly, and a deep power from his sea of consciousness instantly destroyed the illusion. At the same time, Yi Tuizi's eyes began to bleed because of the backlash of his failed attack. "Let's end this charade," said Wang Wei as he condensed a spear made of origin essence. Boom. The air exploded as he threw the projectile with unimaginable force. The clouds in the sky scat because of the sheer power of the throw, and as the spear traveled to its destination, it left a trail where space-time curved. Yi Tuizi's pupils dilated as he watched death rapidly approach him. Everything began to move in slow motion so that he could see every detail of the spear's trajectory. Unfortunately, his body could not move. Move, damn it, move. This can't be the end. It was pointless. His mind could react but not his body. As the spear approached a meter from his body, the fear of death almost overwhelmed him. Then Yi Tuizi heard a roaring voice. "Are you going to lose to a mere human? Where is your pride?" A roar of anger and frustration resonated deep in his soul. Then Yi Tuizi's aura suddenly increased, becoming nobler, more ethereal, more immortal-like. Then, at the last possible second, he transformed into his human form to avoid the spear. "Can't be," thought Wang Wei as he squinted his eyes. "I should thank you," said Yi Tuizi with newfound confidence and calmness. "So, you've acquired control of your Dao Source seed?" "Indeed. It seems that it is true what they say, there is a power of sublimation between life and death," replied Yi Tuizi as he clenched his hand, feeling the surge in power. After gaining control of the seed, it released an immortal aura that drastically increased his strength. "In that case, let's end this pointless battle," Wang Wei said calmly. "Do you know how to be scared now?" "Scared? Do you think you're my opponent now? Unless you're willing to sacrifice that seed." Yi Tuizi looked at him with intense killing intent. "Are you serious? You're throwing away your chance at proving the Tao for what? Pride. No one can insult me and live long to tell the tale, especially not a human." Bang. A terrifying aura emanated from his body that shook the entire city. All the Heaven Chosen watching the fight were forced to kneel on the ground by the overwhelming power of that aura. Everyone except Chu Luo. These arrogant geniuses tried to resist. To them they would never bow to anyone, even an immortal. Regrettably, they did not have the strength to back up their pride. Yi Tuizi waved his hand to manifest an enormous black tiger paw that descended from the heavens like a god punishing mortals by squashing them as easily as bugs. Boom. The place where the paw landed exploded, generating a powerful shockwave that annihilated all matters, energy, laws, and concept above the trial city. "Is this the power of Immortal?" thought Shi Qian, who also knelt on the ground. "I must have that power." She felt it was a shame that the second-seeded player would encounter such an opponent. Otherwise, based on the displayed strength, he would have probably made a mighty emperor. Many people felt the same way as her. The Heaven Chosens lamented how unlucky this Wang Wei was. At the same time, they also became elated since Yi Tuizi no longer had this power. Now they only had to worry about the first-seeded player. They hoped he was not foolish enough to destroy his future for a short gain such as this inheritance. The dark clouds generated by the explosion blew away, and everyone watching this fight had their eyeballs bigger than their forehead, a person in terrible shape floating in the air. His left arm and right eyes were missing and had burned marks on different parts of his face. Additionally, he had a large hole in his stomach where his organs and golden spine were visible. Wang Wei calmly looked at Yi Tuizi, and everyone could sense the fury emanating from his body. Some people even felt he was releasing pressure on par with the previously boosted Yi Tuizi. Impossible. How could you survive the full blow of one leaf Immortal Venerable? Only Wang Wei knew how much effort he used to survive that attack. He knew he could not directly block this attack or reduce its power. So he focused all his attention on survival. He used time laws to constantly revert himself to his peak state. He encased himself with a luck probability field to ensure something would go wrong, and this attack would do the weakest damage to himself. He blessed his destiny with that of someone who survived an attack from an immortal tier powerhouse. He used the cycle of yin and yang to form a powerful shield to protect him. And whenever he came close to death, he used samsara laws to convert his death state to a living state. Furthermore, he connected his fate to someone close to him, ancestor Wuxia, and transferred much of the attack's damage to him. Despite all of this, he almost died. Honestly, if he did not use the last week to ask the sect's immortal powerhouse to ensure that the third incarnation reached the quasi-emperor realm as soon as possible, he knew he would have still died. Wang Wei took a deep breath as he sensed his body. Although the attack had the strength of an immortal venerable, it did not have immortal qi that would hinder his healing. So, in a few seconds he returned to his peak physical state. He even activated the runes in his clothes to regrow them back. Then he instantly appeared before Yi Tuizi. As the tiger demon looked at those gray eyes, he felt a fear embedded deep in his bloodline. It was the fear when humans used to be the ones at the top of the food chain. His instinct took over and he wanted to run away. However, he was unable to move as the space itself restrained him. Wang Wei did not waste his time as he unleashed a barrage of punches on Yi Tuizi's face. He punched the latter more than 1,000,000,000 times in less than a second without holding back. High screams of agony echoed throughout the city. The sound was worse than a pig being butchered. Oddly, Yi Tuizi's head remained intact despite all these punches. And this was not an accident. Wang Wei used his own power to reinforce the tiger's head so he could withstand his punches. The beating continued for 5 minutes straight, with him punching more than 1,000,000 times in 1 second. So, for the next 5 minutes, these heaven chosens had to hear the demon squealing as if he had worked on his brother having sex with his wife. It was simply heartbroken. 5 minutes later, Wang Wei stopped as he took a deep breath to calm down. Then he opened his mouth and inhaled. A white light emanated from Yi Tuizi's body and entered his mouth. He absorbed the latter's lifespan. Now, what will happen if I absorb the lifespan of an immortal creature? Let's find out, thought Wang Wei. Not long he discovered his answer. He could only absorb 1 yuan epoch of lifespan, a total of 1,269 trillion years. Then Yi Tuizi dried up like a mummy. He is still immortal, but his Tao foundation is destroyed, thought Wang Wei as he observed him. Now he needed to know what to do with him. Yi Tuizi must die, but he cannot die in his hand. The demon supremacy world is very aggressive toward human-dominated worlds. So, based on the information he gathered by reading Yi Tuizi's fate line, they will definitely use this opportunity to invade the myriad emperor world. They have done this before. Although the different demon tribes often fought with each other, they were incredibly united in their hatred and opposition to the human race. Usually, the myriad emperor world would not fear any plain invasions. What Wang Wei worried about was that the demon supremacy world used the excuse that they were only after the Tao opening sect. With the political landscape of the myriad emperor world, the other sects might abandon their unity and let them invade just to weaken the Tao opening sect. And Wang Wei would not let that happen. At the same time, his fury must be appeased. So Yi Tuizi must die, but not in his hands. So, he took a copy of the latter's soul imprints. After years of analyzing, he discovered this was what his soul network used to connect to other world communities. As long as he accesses the demon supremacy world community, he can plan for Yi Tuizi's death. All these thoughts quickly flashed across his mind as he made a decision. Then he threw the tiger demon's body to the ground like he was throwing a rag. Then a middle-aged man suddenly appeared and caught young Master Yi. He quickly checked his body and became relieved when he discovered that only his foundation had been destroyed. He then looked at Wang Wei. Every inch of his body wanted to slap this kid for what he did to his son. However, he could sense a terrifying aura locking him from the shadow. He knew if he made the wrong move he would be annihilated. The middle-aged man sighed, lamenting his weakness that he was not an insurgent. After that, he disappeared without saying a word. Chapter 540 Tao Ancestors Classification. Wang Wei looked at the people watching the battle, his eyes asking them if any of them was foolish enough to challenge him again. And based on how they averted his eyes, he got his answer. So he flew to his mansion, which he thought was destroyed during the battle. However, it seems that the small world the trial took place was a special one, as all the destroyed houses had reappeared a few seconds after the battle ended. So he entered and reinstalled the arrays he previously had. Chu Luo watched Wang Wei leave with a slightly stern look while countless thoughts flashed in his mind. He needed the deceiving heaven longevity art for a particular reason, and no matter what, he must get his hands on it. His 9 extremities foundation seemed to be in the early stages. Otherwise he would not be so weak. However, he might become a problem based on how long this trial takes. So, he analyzed the situation before concluding that there was no need to worry too much. The second-seeded player was not as much of a threat to him, at least in the combat department of this trial. The minimum requirement for the 9 extremities foundation to succeed is to have the strength of a Tao ancestor. At the same time, there are different levels or classifications of Dao ancestors based on strength. Anything below that meant the process had failed. So, even if Wang Wei succeeded, Chu Luo believed he would still be stronger. And the reason he came to this conclusion is the downside of the unorthodox method: lack of time. Most people who walked the unorthodox ways had only one generation to cultivate the other incarnations before the final fusion. So, it is challenging to temper them to the limit like people who use the orthodox path. As such, most unorthodox people are the weakest Dao ancestors after completion. All I have to do is watch out for the other competition categories. The third-seeded player Yi Dafu watched the battle, excitement all over his eyes. This king is looking forward to fighting you. He was not deterred by Wang Wei's feat of surviving the full blow of an immortal venerable. His disaster bloodline can also do the same, albeit he would pay a terrible price. Based on his analysis, that human is now in terrible shape inside his mansion, trying everything possible to heal his injuries quickly. The immortal swordsman Ji Lanfeng lay on a rooftop in the distance, spectating both battles. During the entire process he never stopped drinking. What a strong meat shield. Maybe he can survive more than one of my serious sword slashes. Hiccup, he muttered. Mu Lei, the fifth-seeded player, calmly looked in the distance. Such a strong body. If only I could swallow it. Shi Qian, the new sixth-seeded player, clenched her teeth as she watched Wang Wei leave. No matter what, I must get this inheritance. Although she was one of the blessed ones, her situation was not looking too good. Her parents were loose cultivators who once helped a great emperor during his rise, and he rewarded them with immortal chi as karma repayment. So, her background may not be as high as some heaven-chosen from emperor lineages. Worse, not long after she was conceived, Shi Qian's father died in some unknown secret realm while trying to get some rare resources for her. So, she only had a single mother to raise and protect her, which has not been easy because many people believe that by absorbing the source of an immortal child, especially one from the light race, they could wash away their karma without the help of an emperor. So, Shi Qian spent most of her childhood in hiding, waiting for the heaven-will battle. She believed she could win this generation's heaven-will battle with her talent. However, recently, a monster appeared in her world. That monster used to be an insurgent Dao ancestor but decided to give up all his powers and reincarnate to prove the Dao. Shi Qian did not think she had a chance at winning. Normally she could wait for the next generation. Regrettably, that monster belonged to the sect that killed her father during a secret realm. So, if he proved the Dao before her, she knew that she and her mother would not survive long. Shi Qian was not the only person feeling anxious. Su Shi never felt so close to reviving her husband. And yet, the opportunity might slip from her hands. She was unwilling. Whether it was this trial or the heaven-will battle, she could not lose. As she looked at the departing Wang Wei, a thought came to mind. Maybe I should consider acquiring an identity token from another world community and compete there instead. As soon as this idea got into her mind, she could not remove it. Let's see how things unfold before making a decision. Maybe this was the way for her future. Am I going to fail again? Thought Jianghu Hua as she looked in the distance. Then she placed her hand on her ribs and caressed them. No, my father predicted this possible outcome and prepared for the worst. I should trust him. Huafeng Huang looked at Wang Wei's back. No one, maybe even herself, did not know what she felt or was thinking. Meanwhile, Tong Ruobing smiled before muttering. As expected of a genius like him. However, it is not guaranteed that the throne will be yours yet. Feng Heng was one of the few people who saw how Wang Wei survived the attack, while all the others only marveled at his power and means. Who would have thought he not only survived the Supreme Outlaw trial, but he became so powerful? I thought Di Tian was my only problem, but now there is another. Feng Heng thought about steps to take for the future to ensure the rise of Buddhism in the lower dimension. It was his mission and he would succeed at all costs. I need to prepare some hidden cards before the final battles, and they have to be ones at the immortal level. Before then, let's focus on our objective. He did not come for the deceiving heaven longevity art. If he acquired it, that would be useful. If not, it did not matter in the long run. Then Feng Heng looked at someone in the distance. The divine race. So, they can show up again after I created some loopholes on the absolute beginning magic. Maybe I can begin to spread the seed of Buddhism throughout the endless void through him. He squinted his eyes as many thoughts flashed across his mind. Let's be cautious and investigate first. The divine race, Liang Shixian, looked at the departed Wang Wei. A unique soul. Maybe he can help me. Then he sensed a gaze and looked in Feng Heng's direction. After looking at the person for a second, he averted his gaze. A hooded figure also watched the departed Wang Wei. I've heard that the fate-dominating emperor was an air-suppressing genius in his youth, but I did not think he would be this powerful. Well, given his accomplishment, it would make sense. The hooded figure's face squinted under the hood. It does not matter. No matter what, I will destroy you in the cradle before you can grow up and save the entire Chaos Universe. After entering his mansion, Wang Wei immediately contacted Ancestor Wuqing. Kid, are you alright? Just minor injuries. That's good. So what do you want? What's with the attitude? I'm not very fond of you transferring that attack to me. Common Ancestor, that was probably like a mosquito bite for you. I still don't like it. I apologize, Wang Wei said with a very sincere face. Good, I accept your apology. Wang Wuqian did not know whether he was truly sincere. Can I still do it in the future? Now he knew. Whatever. Don't tell the others, but you're my favorite ancestor. Wang Wuqing ignored the kid's cheekiness. So why did you contact me? How strong was that person who took Yi Tuizi away? He's a 3-root Dao ancestor. Explanation, please. Didn't you read the books in the secret archives? I'm not done since I've been busy. Plus, when it comes to immortal tier information, a lot of them are vague. Just the other paths, the Dao path also has a classification for strength. Do you know the difference between emperors and Dao ancestors? The former control the grand Dao source, while the latter borrows its power. Correct. But on a technical level it is not true. Dao ancestors can control the grand Dao source, only up to 4%. Wang Wei's eyes lit up as he thought of something. There are 2 reasons many people do not go to Great Thousand Worlds to become Dao ancestor. The main one is the immortal tribulation is extremely difficult. And secondly, this method could only create the weakest Dao ancestors. 1-root Dao ancestor. These Dao powerhouse have 0 control of the grand Dao source. Although there are some exceptions, it is scarce. Now, when Great Emperor refines a seed for someone, he can allow them brief access to the grand Dao source to comprehend and control up to 4%, and the more percentage, the higher the root. So, that person only controls 2%. Yes. Using that 2% in his internal world, he can resonate with the grand Dao source and borrow its power. How fascinating. Ancestor, what's your level? Of course, I'm a 5-root Dao ancestor. Without that level, it is extremely difficult to become an insurgent. That makes sense. I remember you saying that 9-leaf Immortal Venerable can fight some Dao ancestor? That's right. Some can fight 1 to 2 roots. Wang Wei frowned slightly as he thought of something. The weakest 3rd-class emperor only has 5% control of the grand Dao source. Yet, according to you, the strength disparity to a 5-root Dao ancestor is unimaginable. Is the difference that exaggerated? You have no idea, Wang Wuqing replied with a long, desolate sigh. I once met an unparalleled genius who managed to control 4.9% of the grand Dao source before becoming a Dao ancestor. And yet, in front of the lowest 3rd-class emperor, he could only run away after a few hundreds blow. And he even later admitted that emperor was not even trying to kill him. That 0.1% gap is a nightmare of despair. Just like the saying, heaven and earth treat everybody like dogs. In the upper dimension, great emperors are probably just bigger ants, let alone other immortal powerhouses, commented Wang Wei calmly. Maybe, muttered Wang Wuqing. Let's not talk about this. From what I know about you, you must have left Yi Tuizi alive for a reason. So what's your plan? Chapter 541 The Demon Supremacy World. Wang Wei told Wang Wuqing about the Demon Supremacy World and his worries if he were to kill Yi Tuizi. You did a good job. Although our sect is powerful, there is no need to create more enemies. That's how Wang Wei felt, so he nodded his head. Out of curiosity, how would we fare against the entire Demon Supremacy World? Wang Wuqing thought for a moment. If they have an eternal emperor hiding in their world, we probably will not survive for long. If not, we could run away and hide with Shadow 1 and 2. Then, use guerrilla tactics to cripple the most powerful demon tribes and win this war. Eternal Emperor? That is a variable. Do you plan to do something? Yi Tuizi must die. Wang Wei did not want to kill him simply because he injured him, but because of the possible threat this person could pose. With Yi Tuizi's talent, even without the power of the Dao Source Seed, it is very likely for him to prove the Dao. And on the unlikely chance that Wang Wei fails, he could guess that Tiger Demon would return for revenge. So he must remove the threat in the cradle. Do you need something? I need 1 talisman to prevent any Emperor tier powerhouse from tracking me down and a few talismans that can kill Dao ancestors. Alright, give me a few days. I'll bring everything. That's fine. The competition won't start for another month. Wang Wuqing left, and Wang Wei went to refine the soul imprint he took from Yi Tuizi, allowing his soul network to access the Demon Supremacy World community. Then he took out a talisman that recorded many things, the most important of which was something Chu Luo muttered, the unorthodox method of the 9 Extremities Foundation. Before the battle, Wang Wei scattered the array virus in the surroundings to spy on everyone present. He would secretly record these heaven-chosenness aura, law fluctuation, emotions and words. He did not allow the viruses to enter their bodies because he divined that if he overused the array virus in this way, it would be a matter of time before Heavenly Dao detected it, which would lead to Grand Dao noticing him again. 9 Extremities Foundation, unorthodox method. Wang Wei muttered before using his fate law to divine the secrets of heaven and earth. Since he was already walking on that path, he did not encounter any resistance when learning about the 9 Extremities Foundation and learned a lot about it. It seems I don't have to worry about rejection from the incarnation's innate materials. From his divination, he knew the innate materials on the incarnations would turn into a pure power that nourishes the main body during the final fusion. As such, he does not have to worry about clashes or rejections. As long as someone can pass or survive the outlaw trial, they can receive countless opportunities. Wang Wei knew if his trial did not lead to Lin Fan's trial, he would never have the opportunity to understand something regarding existence, and thus would be incapable of walking the unorthodox path of the 9 Extremities Foundation. Even with his comprehension, without the right opportunity, he might not have succeeded. This is the reason that luck is a fundamental aspect of any powerful cultivator. Finally, he reviewed the information he gathered on these people before going to meet with Ancestor Wuqing again. Wang Wei received many jade talismans along with a necklace. Shadow One refined a talisman for you and lent you his personal chaos treasure. The key word is lending, you must return it. What's with the emphasis on lending? With how shameless you are, I would not be surprised if you tried to keep it for yourself. Wang Wei's lips twitched, but he did not refute. So what does it do? With your fateless status, it should allow you to even hide from an eternal emperor, albeit briefly. If you sense someone on that level tracking you down, abandon everything and retreat. It should be fine. From what I learned from Yi Tuizi, the Demon Supremacy World only had 3 eternal emperors, and they should all be gone. Nevertheless, I will be careful in case there is one secretly hiding. Your cautiousness reassures me. Wang Wei entered seclusion again before activating the soul network. This time he had 3 purple orbs floating in front of him, signaling the Myriad Emperor World, the Martial Supreme World and the Demon Supremacy World. Wang Wei chose the new addition to the network, gaining access to a bunch of souls with that he could form connections. Then he chose a random one as an anchor to send a projection into the Demon Supremacy World. The first thing he noticed was the towering trees that elevated to the sky. Everywhere he looked or used his divine sense to look, there were forests, mountains, rivers and farms, giving the entire world a nature-like and picturesque atmosphere. Wang Wei looked at the trees and knew many demon tribes lived on top of them. The history of this world has some similarities and was influenced by the Myriad Emperor world. There was a Null era as a result of the innate acquire war. Then, the cultivators rebuilt civilizations. The demons called that period the beginning era. In that era, demons and humans competed with each other to become the racial protagonist of this world. The fight was relatively balanced until a human became enlightened under a Bodhi tree and developed Buddhism. After proving the Tao and spreading his religion, humans became the dominant species and suppressed the demons. The demons called this era the Dark Era, a time of great suffering for their races. However, Wang Wei knew this was not the complete truth. From Yi Tuizi, he knew that the Buddhist cultivators were peaceful and left the demon race to themselves as long as they did not eat human flesh. Many demons even converted to Buddhism, walking on the path of seeking nirvana. However, the Dark Era ended after the absolute beginning emperor created the great Buddhist cataclysm. Then, the first eternal emperor from the demon race rose, and he hated humans passionately. So, he destroyed 90% of the human race while enslaving the remaining 10%. He also ensured to rewrite history, convincing his race of the atrocities humans created during the Dark Era. That eternal emperor established the supremacy era that has existed until now. Wang Wei's projection teleported to an underground cave where a group of demons who looked like dogs watched over a bunch of humans. "Whoopies, you're working too slow," said the humanoid dog demon as he whipped an older man who seemed to be in his 80s, dressed in Sax's clothes. The older man fell to the ground with blood all over his back. Despite the immense pain, he did say a word as his eyes were numb. He then tried to get up, mustering all the strength possible. Regrettably, although his mind was willing, his body could not. "Are you being lazy?" said the dog demon before whipping him again. The older man fell flat to the ground, unable to move. He looked at the demon, his eyes still numb and unfocused. "What are you looking at, you disgusting human? Whoopie. Whoopish. Whoopish." The dog demon whipped him until the luster of life left his eyes. Another dog demon walked to the beater, indifferently looked at the dead older man and said, "Team leader Jianghu, you are killing the slaves too quickly. The tribe might complain. These humans reproduced as quickly as the rabbit tribe, there will be plenty of them to replace." The vice leader shook his head. "So what do we do now? Didn't that human have children?" "Yes, but the only remaining one is 10 years old. Old enough to work. Go get him." Soon a 10-year-old malnourished child appeared. He saw his father's corpse on the ground and his body trembled. Tears wanted to leave his eyes, but he controlled himself. He quickly picked his father's pick and began mining, not uttering a word. Wang Wei watched the older man. He knew despite the latter's appearance he was only in his early 40s. He did not say anything before teleporting to a small village. In some houses, a line of more than 40 demons waited in front of each home. Wang Wei looked at the closest to him, where an ant demon walked out from a house, pulling up his pants and using a cloth as a belt. "How was it?" asked a wolf demon in front of the line. "As good as usual." The wolf demon laughed heartily after hearing this, then the people behind him followed soon. The invisible Wang Wei looked through the house and saw a human woman lying on a bed naked, her dull eyes full of despair. He could tell she was asking for someone to relieve her of her misery. Wang Wei teleported to another place. This time it was a city full of humans. An elephant demon looked at a kneeling human. Compared to the others he saw, this person's dress was way better than the sacks he saw all the others wear. "Did you finish the task I gave you?" asked the elephant. "Yes, I have chosen 200,000 humans for the Lord's banquet." "Did you properly choose each individual?" "Yes. I properly bathed, fed, and even chose the ones with high cultivation talent and special bloodlines. The Lord should be satisfied with this meal." The elephant nodded before going to check the chosen people. He secretly shook his head. "No one with cultivation realms. Those are the tastiest. Well, I should not expect more from a backward place as this." He then used his space ring to take away all the 200,000 people. And during the entire process the city lord had a smile on his face. Wang Wei calmly watched this before teleporting to another location, which was a school where a heterogeneous group of demon children interacted. The teacher, a lion demon, had a complete human transformation, unlike the others who only looked humanoid. Remember, children, humans are born aggressive. They were born for conquest, destruction, and hatred. This has been proven based on their activities during the Dark Era. "Teacher, from what I saw during last week's field trip, aren't we doing the same thing as humans?" "No, it is not the same. Humans do horrible things because they are innately evil and corrupt. They enjoy committing sins. We do what we do to protect our race, our culture, and our way of life. So, if we give them a chance to rise, we will suffer an even worse fate." "I understand, teacher." "That's good. Now pass me yesterday's assignment." The lion demon collected all the papers and read the first one. "Excellent work, Xianxia. By the power granted to me by the Demon Supremacy Alliance, I will give you 100 community points. Keep up the good work." Then he read another paper before giving the child some community points, making each of them very happy. At such a young age they knew that with enough points, they could elevate their status and acquire more resources. They could change their entire life for the better. As Wang Wei observed this school interaction that was probably normal throughout this entire world, he sneered. "The Supremacy Era, huh? Alright, let's begin the Era of Revolution." Chapter 542 The Revolution. Wang Wei closed his eyes to access the Soul Network. He made the category for his search human and inaccessible ones. The demon race made up 60% of this world's population, humans comprised 30%, and the remaining 10% consisted of demonic beasts, essentially animals that have absorbed a lot of spiritual energy but are of low intelligence. After a period of cultivation, the demonic beasts can evolve into low-level demon races with impure bloodlines. If you count the number of these low-level demon races as demonic beasts, they will then make up 40% of the demon race's population. After searching for the information he needed, Wang Wei found 5 places where a large number of humans habited, but his soul network could not pull people's souls. He knew there must be some immortal-level powerhouses or formations in these places. He divined which of these 5 places would ensure his plan's highest success before teleporting inside. It was a city occupied by demons, but that was only on the surface. He could detect that humans controlled the demons in this place, making it look like it still belonged to them. Furthermore, there was an entrance to a small world in this city. After a brief search, he discovered a person who could enter and leave the secret realm at will. Wang Wei did not follow him. Instead, he summoned that person's soul to his soul realm, the name he gave that space in the soul network. He showed that person his strength and mysterious abilities before telling him to contact his leader. Not long afterward, the poor middle-aged man rushed into the secret realm to report. Not long afterward, a Dao ancestor wearing a green robe came out to meet Wang Wei's projection in a secret house in the city. "Your Excellency, I am Daoist Greenheart. How may I refer to you?" "The name's Chu Mo," replied Wang Wei, that had masked his appearance. "Lord Chu Mo, are you from another heavenward world?" asked Daoist Greenheart, who became more respectful when he realized he could not detect any information from the person in front of him. "What makes you say that? This is not the first time some foreign plane has aided our resistance. Otherwise, I doubt we would last so long." "Well, you are correct. The demon supremacy world has enmity with us, so they must be destroyed." Daoist Greenheart smiled but did not take these words seriously. The previous people only provided some resources and helped them destroy a few insignificant demon tribes before leaving. So he is prepared for the same outcome. He would be satisfied as long these new people were not stingy with their resources. Wang Wei frowned after seeing the latter's situation. "It seems you do not expect much. In that case, how about I tell you the first stage of my plan? Then you can decide whether you want to participate?" "Oh, what will happen if I don't want to participate?" "I will go to the other bases. And if they are not willing to participate? I'll raise my own force." "It seems your Excellency is determined. All right, please tell me your plan. Before we can start, please sign this Dao contract, swearing you will not reveal any information about our discussion." Daoist Greenheart frowned as he looked at the contract. The Dao contract in his hand was the highest level, capable of even binding a great emperor. However, after reading it, he sighed in relief. The contract only stated that he could not reveal any information regarding their discussion and also not betray the human race. Truth be told, Daoist Greenheart admired this foreigner's caution. So, after checking if there were any hidden clauses, he signed with his soul. Then Wang Wei told him about the first phase of his plan. "So can we really succeed?" "Of course. The better question is, are you really willing to use such precious resources?" "Why not? The return would more than enough make up for it," replied Wang Wei. Daoist Greenheart quickly calmed down before processing the information. "How do we split the rewards?" 8 to 2, 8 for me. "Isn't that too much, especially since you're not risking anything? You should understand that freedom has no actual price. Do you want the human race to be livestock for generations?" Daoist Greenheart sighed heavily. "You're right. I'll go talk to the other bases. I'll convince them. Remember to have them sign the contract before revealing the plan. If any of them is adamant in his refusal, quickly take him down. Do you suspect there are traitors amongst us? Impossible. Don't be naive. In this cruel world, it would be odd if some people did not sell their kind for survival." Greenheart knew this, but he did not want to accept this. After sighing again, he left. 3 days later, he returned with 3 other middle-aged men wearing distinctive colors of robes. However, they did not look happy. "So, who was the traitor?" asked Wang Wei. "That does not matter," replied Daoist Redheart. "Is your plan really going to work? As long as you guys are willing to place your lives in the line. We are not afraid of dying. We are only afraid of a meaningless death, afraid of leaving the human race in a worse position than it already is. As long as you keep that conviction, everything will be fine," said Wang Wei. "All right, where do we begin?" asked Daoist Yellowheart. "This is a list of the demon tribe we must destroy as rapidly as possible," said Wang Wei as he handed them a list, which obviously included the Hell Tiger tribe. "I still think this plan is too far-fetched," said Daoist Blueheart. "What's your worry?" asked Wang Wei. "These demon tribes have between 20 to 30 great emperors as their foundation. How on earth are we going to destroy them?" Wang Wei looked at him, and he could tell he was not the only one with reservation. You guys know of Great Rock Emperor? Of course, he is the damn demon who started all our misery. As the first eternal emperor of this world, he had a lasting impact, even to this day. The Great Rock Emperor created the demon race's era of dominance, but his policies doomed them for failure as well, Wang Wei said calmly. What do you mean? Many tribes have more than 10, 20, and even 30 great emperors. However, this is not the result of their strength. The Great Rock Emperor made a secret agreement between the tribes that in each generation, they could select a tribe for the heaven will to be handed to. What? How is that possible? Yelled Taoist Red Heart. This is what happens when a world's heavenly Tao is not as strict on controlling the laws and regulations, added Wang Wei. But how does that help us with our plan? Asked Blue Heart. Most of the emperors these demon tribes have are only third and second class, with a lot of them even being pseudo-emperors. Pseudo-emperors? Wang Wei looked at the confusion on these people's faces and secretly shook his head. It is of great significance for cultivators to have widened horizons. Great emperors who do not have the Tao heart or proper foundation to bear the heaven wills. How did you guys become Tao ancestors without even knowing such a thing? The four looked at each other in embarrassment. All the records of our human race are destroyed. This includes our history, culture, origin, and even our speaking tongue, said Taoist Greenheart, lamenting that he was currently speaking the demon language. But you should have lived long enough to learn this. Or, at the very least, learn from the great emperor who created you. The thing is, a great emperor did not create us. We inherited our powers from an inheritance Tao seed. These things can inherit immortal level power? Wang Wei decided to ask Ancestor Wuxia if they had this technology. If not, it would be great to bring it back to the sect. Back to the topic. Because of how weak the emperors of most demon tribes are, they do not have any insurgents. So, with the talisman I gave you, you should be able to destroy them effortlessly. Alright, when do we attack? Asked Red Heart. 3 days from now. So, gather all the people needed. Why not sooner? We need a new and more secure base. Hell Tiger tribe territory inside a secret realm. How is Jir doing? Asked a beautiful woman looking at a body in a green pool. The tribe has used an emperor pill to recreate his foundation. Regrettably, there is nothing we can do about the Tao source seed. Damn it. How could he waste such a precious thing? Does not really matter. As long as he can defeat his opponent in the upcoming competition, according to the rules, the other tribes would have to hand the heaven will to him. It's not like they have not gone back on their words before. With the seed, he could deter them from acting rashly. The middle-aged man, Yi Tweezy's father, shrugged his shoulder. He also thought his son was stupid to waste the seed, but it was gone, and there was nothing he could do now. What about the person who did that to him? Are we going to let him go like that? The other person is from the most powerful sect in the Myriad Emperor world. So, unless we can get support from the entire alliance for an invasion, it would be suicide to fight them alone. So, he's just going to get away with hurting our son? So the only way for him to get his revenge is to prove the Tao and hope the other party fails. Otherwise, this is out of our hands. The woman's face became ugly to look at after hearing this. Just as he was about to complain, the entire secret realm trembled. What's going on? The two rushed outside to see the sun shining on them. The Hell Tiger's bloodline was Yin in nature, so their tribe's main headquarters was deep underground, where Yin energy was concentrated. So it was odd to see the sun. However, this was not even the odd part of the situation. All 27 of the tribe's emperor formations and arrays manifested to protect the tribe from an enormous hand that descended from the heavens. Yi Tweezy's father squinted his eyes after seeing the person controlling the enormous hand. Taoist Red Heart from the human resistance? How could they be so powerful? He could tell the previous attack reached the level of first-class emperor. Suddenly, he remembered the cold, indifferent gray eyes that almost ruined his son's life. Boom, boom, boom. The enormous hand slammed a few times before breaking all the information. Then the hand killed all the Hell Tiger demon tribes, mortals and immortals alike. Taoist Red Heart proceeded to take all the sect's resources, including the Emperor artifacts, secret realms, and the bodies of the demons, and returned to the base. Across the demon supremacy world, many Emperor tribes were destroyed in just a few minutes before anyone else could react. Using the talisman, which contained the power of the Tao opening sect's insurgents, the Tao ancestors of the human resistance acted swiftly before retreating. Furthermore, Wang Wei gave many humans true monarch's talismans which contained his power, tasking them to destroy the non-emperor or immortal tribes. And with his strength that can slaughter quasi-emperor as if they were nothing but ants, these humans went on a rampage. And unlike the Tao monarchs, these humans were chosen as death soldiers, so they did not need to retreat, only kill until they died. So, in just one day these humans managed to kill 5% of the demon race's population. They killed 5% of the entire universe's population. Wang Wei was slightly surprised by this news. The madness of these humans, fueled by their hatred, genuinely shocked him. Inside the Resistance's new base, Wang Wei had just finished absorbing the lifespan of a Dao ancestor. Unlike the Dao child, he can absorb 9 cycles of 1 Yuan epoch for a total of 9 Yuan epochs. After that, the dead body of the Dao ancestor would disintegrate. As he looked at the lifespan on his hand, he smiled. After absorbing Yi Tuizi's lifespan, he had an idea for all his 8 incarnations to live the limit of mortal, 1 Yuan epoch, and spend all that time comprehending the law. Then he would fuse with them. Once he succeeded, he might exceed Di Tian's golden law tree. For those of you not in my Discord, there is additional information in the previous chapter that I forgot to add yesterday. Chapter 543 The Revolution 2. As Wang Wei held the lifespan in his hand, he frowned as he sensed something was odd. So, he quickly divined the problem and learned that each of his incarnations couldn't live 1 Yuan epoch. 1 Yuan epoch was the limit of mortals, and since his incarnations are part of his existence, their lifespan is his lifespan. If one lived for 1 Yuan epoch, the main body would run out of lifespan. In other words, he cannot use them to escape this restriction of heaven and earth. Wang Wei was sure there was a way to remove that limit, but this method may not exist in the lower dimension. It does not matter. I can still use the lifespan to boost the incarnation's comprehension. Using lifespan this way requires a deep understanding and control of the soul, so most cannot do this, but he could. Afterward, he began to do an inventory of his gain. There were more than a dozen emperor artifacts, materials used in the formations, materials stored, and many immortal tier bodies. With this raid, Wang Wei had more than enough resources to change most of his incarnations with chaos materials. But this was not the end. He won't stop until he destabilized the entire demon supremacy world. As for Yi Tuizi, Wang Wei already checked his body. He secretly shook his head. If that guy had stopped after acquiring access to his Dao source seed, Wang Wei would have stopped fighting him, and he would have passed his outlaw trial and become a Dao lord. Unfortunately, he let his pride get the best of him. After lamenting how emotions and desires are often the downfalls of powerful and talented people, he finished his inventory and took 80% of the spoils as previously agreed. The colored heart Taoists looked in pain after seeing this, but considering how they accomplished such a feat, they knew he deserved it. Even if Wang Wei asked for more, considering his invested resources, it would be reasonable. Lord Chuamo, what is our next step? Do we attack again? Asked Red Heart. Isn't that a little dangerous? Asked Blue Heart. We don't need to worry about anything with our strength. Wang Wei looked at the two and they stopped talking. How many times can you endure using the insurgent talismans? All 4 remained quiet for a few seconds before Greenheart said, if we push ourselves, probably 3 more times. Wang Wei nodded his head. Giving these one-root Dao ancestors the power of a first-class emperor through talisman is not an easy task since they cannot bear the power. Wang Wei did not immediately explain his next step of action despite having already planned it. He wanted more information. So, he used his spirit particles to read the millions of scriptures these demon tribes kept in their territory, learning of this world's history and secrets. Interesting, he muttered. Sir Chuamo, did you find something? The Great Rock tribe is very capable, despite how they looked on the surface. The 4 looked at each other very confused. The Demon Supremacy Alliance distributes the heaven will even before the competition. So, why is this world not continue to weaken? Instead, it even gave birth to 2 new eternal emperors. They did not know. The Great Rock clan introduced the Jiaolong and Purple Tortoise clan from other world communities. They found worlds where the demon race is oppressed and on the verge of extermination and brought them back here. How is that helping? Asked Red Heart. He was not the only one puzzled, but the others were too embarrassed to ask as they did not want to appear stupid and ignorant. Usually, before any species is destroyed, their racial luck will counterattack by creating an unparalleled genius. This genius is the destiny son of that race. I see. So, they brought the destiny sons of the Jiaolong and Purple Tortoise from another world, then allowed them to prove the Tao in the demon supremacy world, which led to the birth of 2 more eternal emperors, said Greenheart as a look of realization suddenly hit him. Is that why they did not completely wipe out our human race? Probably one of the reasons, replied Wang Wei. This is all good, but what does this information have to do with our next attack? Asked Red Heart. I know for a fact that these 3 tribes have insurgent chosens on par with first-class emperors amongst them. Furthermore, if you look at the great emperors they have cultivated, they have way more first-class emperors than the others. Our plan succeeded because we acted swiftly and had the element of surprise. If we try again, I guarantee these tribes' ancestors will besiege and eradicate all of you. So that's it? In the long term, our actions have only placed a slight dent on the Alliance's power. Of course not, Wang Wei replied calmly. Our second phase is to attack the foundation of the Alliance, the low-level demons. Them? Besides their large number, they are useless, said Yellowheart. It's exactly because of their large number that they are the foundation of the Alliance. Sir, can you elaborate more? Wang Wei did not mind these people's ignorance as he understood they spent most of their lives cooped in this world without access to knowledge and most of their history destroyed. So he further explained. He drew a pyramid in the air with 4 sections. The Alliance can be categorized into 4 hierarchies or classes. At the top, you have the Emperor's tribes. Essentially, the tribes who have given birth to a great emperor. They are considered the tribes with the noblest of bloodlines. I'm not going to talk about the difference between them since it's not relevant to understand my plan. The second class is what I called the aristocrat tribes. They are the demon tribes with no great emperors. They are an easy group to understand. The third class is what I called the wealthy class. These tribes were former low-level demons, but through the system established by the Alliance, they have sublimated their bloodlines to be on par with the second class. Some even managed to cultivate a great emperor and enter the first class. Nevertheless, they are in a class of their own because of the discrimination they faced from the second category, despite many of them being as powerful, if not more than the second class. Finally, the lowest category is the low-level demons. They have the highest population, make up most of this world's armies and even workforce. Doesn't humans make up the world's working force? Asked Greenheart. Yes, them and humans. However, the upper echelons make it look like humans are the working force to give these low-level demons the illusion of freedom. The Alliance created the mindset that humans have it worse than them, forcing them to ignore their situations. And by giving them the power over humans, these low-level demons even think they are superior to us, even though they are technically exploited even worse than humans because of their large population. Low-level demons make up 40% of this world's population, while humans make up 30%. And if you discount the 5% of humans belonging to the human resistance, they are indeed the main working force of this world. Sir Chuamo, how do we deal with the low-level demons? We use the Alliance's system against them, replied Wang Wei, who prepared to use an old but effective tactic. I need you guys to find some people to distribute these scrolls worldwide. Warn them that they will not survive. Greenheart took the scroll and after reading it, he squinted his eyes. He had already guessed what the plan was. Wouldn't it be better for us to go? He asked. No, these people are just a distraction. Furthermore, I need you to confront the insurgents of the 3 eternal tribes. I need to know how strong they are before the next phase. All right. We'll get everything ready. Greenheart chose a group of people loyal to the cause and not afraid of death. Then he sent them on this mission. One of the reasons that the resistance could last so long was that they once had a powerful great emperor. He sacrificed his life to leave a few untraceable hideouts for humans. And in the following years, the few great emperors humans were lucky to have further strengthened the formations in these bases. After arriving, Wang Wei fused the 4 main bases together before establishing many secret realms scattered throughout the world. He then connected these secret realms through teleportation array, creating an underground network where the resistance could travel quickly. Using these secret realms, the chosen people traveled to different parts of the world before leaving strange scrolls near habitats with low-level demons. Heavenly Dog Tribe Territory. A low-level humanoid dog finished peeing in the bushes and pulled his pants up. Chapter 544 The Revolution Final. The final phase has many steps, and Wang Wei walked toward the first step. Inside one of the rooms of the base, 2 formations stood next to each other. On the left side, a dark red aura kept gathering at the center of the formation. Meanwhile, on the right side, a golden aura gathered. Wang Wei checked the left side since it worked faster than the other. As he looked at the red aura, he could hear cries of despair. Anyone without sufficient willpower could not observe the formation for long. Without saying much, he checked both formations one last time before leaving. Sir Chuamo, what is the next step of our plan? For the next step, I need a few Emperor artifacts for sacrifices, said Wang Wei calmly, making the others' eyebrows twitch. They immediately knew they would be paying. Is that necessary? Asked Yellow Heart. Without it, step 3 cannot succeed. If you guys want, I can stop my actions. After all, you have dealt a great blow to the demon race. Maybe this success is enough for you. The four became quiet as they secretly communicated through divine sense. Sir Chuamo, how important is the next step? If we succeed, the humans of this world will finally have a chance to overthrow the demon race and even become this world's protagonist. If succeeded? I won't lie, there is a chance of failure. The others frowned as they considered the situation. Although things looked favorable to them, they knew this was not the case. It's only a matter of time before the Alliance quickly regained control of the situation and counterattack against the humans, especially the enslaved ones. Although their resistance took the opportunity to plunder and liberate another 5% of the human population, the remaining one will still suffer terribly. Fine, we agree, said Greenheart, and Wang Wei nodded. The next day he sat cross-legged in a room with a few Emperor artifacts floating around him. With the Ancestor's clone, the fourth incarnation has reached the quasi-Emperor realm and condensed many black holes. With its power, this plan has a higher chance of success, but I should slow down from now to prevent some problems from occurring with the incarnations. Alright, let's begin. One of the Emperor artifacts glowed before a flame suddenly appeared, slowly destroying it. Meanwhile, Wang Wei immediately borrowed the strength of 4 incarnations. The strength of 1 leaf immortal? The current me would survive Yi Tuizi's attack without a scratch. He then concentrated as he summoned his physique's vision. So, a version of himself sitting on a throne with the river of fate at his feet appeared behind him. Using that river of fate, Wang Wei summoned the main branch of the river that connects everything and everyone in the endless void, including all Heavenwell world and their world communities. As Wang Wei gazed at that river, he felt that he was all-powerful and all-knowing. He felt he could control the fate of everything in existence, including all Daos. He felt free. Immediately he used his willpower to rein his mind. Ooh, that was a little scary. He knew if not for his strong willpower, he would have given in to that feeling, and the river of fate would swallow him, making him a part of it. I can waste time since I don't have long. He used the river of fate to search for a particular string. It took him a few minutes to swim or navigate, but he did find what he was looking for. He did not immediately interact with that string but activated the Shadow One's Chaos Treasure to ensure he could not be detected. Then he focused on that string. Wang Wei's gaze changed as he saw somewhere in the endless void, countless trillion light-years away from his location, in some unknown world community. It was a humongous beast with a black body, scales, and 1 horn. A Tier 10 void beast, thought Wang Wei as he watched the sleeping beast. He briefly observed it before taking action. He directly used a soul attack, creating a sword that stabbed the beast's sea of consciousness. His attack did not work, but it did anger the beast and woke it up. Then Wang Wei acted swiftly. Fated destination. He manipulated the beast's fate strings through the river of fate to make it as if he was destined or fated to be at a specific destination, thus achieving teleported. And the destination of that beast was the territory of the Great Rock Tribe in the Demon Supremacy world. Bang! An enormous black beast suddenly appeared on top of the Great Rock Tribe. Luckily, the Emperor formations activated, preventing any catastrophe. However, the beast was now enraged. He was in the middle of an essential cultivation advancement when someone disturbed him, wasting a lot of time. So, he wanted to destroy everything in its sight. In the human resistance base, Wang Wei opened his eyes, his complexion paled. He could sense that his main Boda soul was injured in the process. Nevertheless, he knew this was not the end. The Void Beast will not be the opponent of the 3 insurgents of the Eternal Tribes despite being the equivalent of a great emperor. However, Wang Wei chose one with great defense so it could last longer against these 3. He also calculated that the other 2 tribes would not immediately come to rescue the Great Rock Tribe. They would take this opportunity to weaken them and remove their status as the most powerful tribe in this world. Wang Wei looked at the Emperor artifacts next to him. He asked for 7 for this plan but only used 2. So, he did not hesitate to pocket the other 5 as payment for his services. As for the other 2, they turned into powder after being sacrificed to boost his fate ability. Sir Chuamo, are you alright? Asked the colored Taoist once he exited the room. There is no time to waste. Remember the plan? Yes. When the other three come to the Great Rock's aid, we will take this opportunity to attack and destroy even more Emperor tribes. Good. Now I have something else to do. Wang Wei's projection teleported to the Great Rock tribe's main habitat, a towering tree with different caves dug in for people to live. The higher a person lived on the tree, the higher their social status. Before the start of his plan, he stuck one of his spirit particles on one of the tribe's members so his projection could secretly infiltrate. Once he arrived, he began to divine something and even activated his luck, ignoring all the rocks flying around with scared expressions. If my calculations are correct, they should be the ones who have it. He knew he did not have long, so he had to be fast. Soon he found what he was searching for. It was an entrance to a secret realm. He waved his hand and a space ring appeared in his hand. It was Great Rock's Patriarch's space ring. With his subtle manipulation of space and the fact the latter was distracted activating the tribe's formation, this was easier than expected. He took out the Patriarch's token from the space ring but immediately frowned as it was connected to its owner and unusable by others. So, he looked in the direction of the Patriarch and copied the latter's fate. Although the Patriarch was a powerful quasi-emperor, he was nothing in front of Wang Wei. With control of the token, he could now access the secret realm he wanted. However, things did not appear to go smoothly. No one was inside as they most likely left to deal with the Void Beast. In such a dangerous situation, everyone's strength is helpful. What stopped him was an emperor formation specially designed to protect what was inside. Wang Wei did not waste time as he took out a talisman from Origin 1 and activated it. He controlled the attack to focus on a specific point of the formation to create a small gap. And from that small gap, he slipped in his array virus that has one of his spirit particles sealed inside. Then, through that particle, his projection bypassed the Emperor formation. However, Wang Wei knew he did not have much time since someone should have detected the fluctuation when he used the talisman. So, when he saw a cauldron with designs of demons inside, his eyes lit up. The demon race's luck-condensing treasure. He calculated that this treasure would be in the hands of one of the three eternal tribes. And considering the Great Rock was the first one, they most likely had it, and he was correct. Suddenly, he felt a tremendous desire to swallow the cauldron, and he knew the desire came from the human destiny sword in his hand. After appeasing the sword, he took action. Wang Wei did not immediately take the cauldron as he knew it was semi-sentient and would not allow anyone besides the demon race to touch it. So, he sealed the cauldron before immediately sending it to his main body. Then, he dispersed the projection and even destroyed his spirit particles to remove all his traces. Back in the deceiving trial, Wang Wei's main body called Ancestor Wuxia and tasked him to use the human destiny sword to separate the absorbed the demon race's luck back in the sect. A portion goes to the sword while the rest goes to the sect. Back in the Resistance's base, he condensed another projection and waited as he observed the battle with the Void Beast. A few hours later, the colored Taoists returned with a smile. Then they also watched the fight. The other two tribes finally interfered after the Great Rock suffered a significant casualty. Then, after working together, they injured the Void Beast, forcing it to run away. Regrettably, these tribes did not have a long time to celebrate their plans as a golden dragon suddenly appeared that surrounded the entire demon supremacy world. The dragon, with the character for demon on its back, roared in agony in the heavens before dispersing into countless motes of lights. Following this, all demons, no matter their status, felt overwhelming grief as if something had been stripped from them. The pain was as unbearable as their mother passing away. The human destiny sword is way more important than people realized. I cannot believe they just let something like that in Sun Jialong's hand. Wang Wei knew without the sword he could not absorb all of the cauldron's luck. The best he could do was to slowly weaken the demon race's luck through time. Nevertheless, he felt it was too reckless to leave something with such a potentially catastrophic effect in the hands of someone like Sun Jialong. When I become emperor, I must find a better place to hide this thing. Otherwise, if someone used the same tactic I did, the humans in the myriad emperor world would suffer. Sir, did you do this? Yes, replied Wang Wei calmly. If you want humans to have a chance in this world, the best way to do so is to remove the demon race's status as this world's protagonists. Now that their chi luck is no longer condensed, many problems will occur, and their status as protagonists will slowly disappear. Now you have to take the opportunity to rise. From the bottom of our hearts, you have the heartfelt thanks of the human race, said all four colored Taoists, even bowing deeply to him. I accept your gratitude. Now follow me, we still have a few finishing touches. Wang Wei brought them to the room with the two formations. He pointed to the one on the right. This formation will gather all the grievances, pain, suffering, and hatred of humans since the Supremacy era to condense a powerful weapon that is highly effective against demons. I call it the Demon Slaughtering Sword. I believe when it's born, it would probably be on par with an innate treasure of the highest rate, if not more powerful. It will be your greatest reliance in this upcoming fight. He then pointed to the right. This formation will condense the human's luck, ensuring your prosperity. Furthermore, I've cast a luck spell with the formation to create a racial son of destiny. They should be an extremely talented individual born to lead humans to prosperity in this world. I've ensured they will be born in this generation, but you don't have much time to train him before the heaven will. Nevertheless, as long as that person can prove the Tao, the humans of this world will be set. That person has a high chance of winning with the Demon Slaughter Sword, the Destiny Sword, and how the demon race is currently in shambles. We cannot thank you enough, said Greenheart. No need for thanks. Tell that person they owe me a favor, and I will come to collect the debt in the future. Sir, with all you've done for us, we will go through hell and high for you. Wang Wei nodded. Finally, the last point you have to consider is the lower realm. The four immediately began to listen. The Alliance has essentially conquered the majority of the lower realm, with countless worlds under their control. Although it looked like they were in danger now, give them enough time, and they could replenish their low-level demon population and even recondense their race's luck dragon. Not to mention the large human population in these worlds. So what should we do? The same tactics we used to deal with the low-level demons, spread chaos amongst them. Now you can do it yourself or pay me to do it for you. What's it going to be? These Taoists' lips almost twitch. A few seconds ago they were all emotional and thankful. But now they were back to doing business. Sir, we will pay, said Greenheart, knowing this was the best option. Wang Wei nodded before talking about his payment from their 20% of the agreement. Then he went back to the room. The main body acquired a drop of a soul tear, an emperor-level resource of the sect. So, his injuries were healed in just a few hours with enough medical remedies stored in his body. So, he used his soul network to access all the worlds in the Demon Supremacy world community. Usually he could not see all of them since they were not from his community. But, the demon race's chi luck he recently stole connected to many worlds in the lower realm. So, he could divine their position and gain access to them through his soul network. So, he began to instill the demonic bloodline improvement arts in the minds of all the low-level demons across many small, middle, and great thousand worlds. The process was exhausting, but he finished in 4 days. Finally, Wang Wei ended his projection and opened his eyes to the deceiving trial. He stretched his body out before walking out of his room, where Wang Wuqing waited for him. Kid, I don't know what to say. He honestly did not know how to describe the past month's events. Chapter 545 The First Test. Body Wang Wuqing thought of all the Emperor artifacts the kid sent back to the sect. Although many of them were pseudo-Emperor artifacts, the materials were still valuable, not to mention the Immortal powerhouse's bodies, resources, and luck. He once decided to test the kid's ability to gather resources, but he never thought it would reach this level. In just over a month, he destabilized an entire heavenward world and almost brought a mighty race to its knees. It's not as big of a deal as you make it. Most of this plan's success is because of the situation of the Demon Supremacy world, Wang Wei replied with a smile. How many people do you think can analyze the entire situation of a world in a few days, infer information from their billion years of history, then come up with a way to destroy them from the very core of their civilization? I know I can't do such a thing. Alright, I won't be humble anymore. I know I'm awesome, said Wang Yi with a smug look. Awesome? You mean a profiteer? After I killed Yi Tuizi, my vendetta was finished. So, everything I had to do after that had to be properly compensated. Plus, I've even gone easy on them. Easy? What else could you have done? I was going to use a scare tactic to sell them a few Dao Ancestors puppets made by Miscellaneous One at an absorbent price. But I felt bad for them, so I stopped. Wang Wuqing became speechless. He genuinely did not know what to say. You would have been a great merchant. Wang Wei smiled. In his past life, he was a businessman, so he knew when to take an opportunity or how to satisfy a client. Did the sect send the Chaos treasures for all my incarnations? Regrettably, that is not possible. What's the issue? Wang Wei asked. Although we have the resources, they cannot all be used on you. So, we decided to give you enough Chaos materials for 3 incarnations. As for the rest, we will give you Emperor materials on par the best chaos treasure we have. Wang Wei frowned as he pondered. After a quick analysis he realized this decision made sense. Chaos materials were scarce, unlike Emperor materials that can be cultivated with the presence of a great Emperor. He even suspected that miscellaneous one could use many of the pseudo-Emperor artifacts he brought back to combine and cultivate true Emperor artifacts. So they accepted the decision. That's fine. What about the luck? What's the plan? We decided to slowly inject it into our sect's chi luck to prevent detection. However, the final decision is in your hands, said Wang Wuqing. It's a good idea. Although I've eliminated my tracks in the demon supremacy world, it's good to be cautious. Where is my sword? Wang Wuqing waved his hand, and the human destiny sword appeared in his hand and handed it over. Many people did not want to return it to you. Since they've witnessed the sword's importance, it's understandable, Wang Wei replied calmly. Anyway, we have placed many seals on it in case it lands on the wrong hand. Wang Wei was okay with that. He took the sword and felt it was more powerful than before. So, he nodded in satisfaction before placing it away in his sea of consciousness, using its luck to help him comprehend the laws when necessary. Finally, he waited for the day of the trial's beginning. Luckily, no one challenged him after his battle, but he received a recording of the other seated players' battle. Besides Su Shi, no one lost their seated position. On the scheduled day, he flew to the center of this city, where everyone waited in front of a silver pagoda. He saw a place for all the seated players, so he flew to his position. Not long after he arrived, Lord Spirit showed up. Since everyone is here, let's not waste time, said Lord Spirit in his strange voice. The first criterion we will judge is your fleshly body. There are different levels, and you will receive both points and a reward with each level you pass. And the top 3 candidates will receive a special reward left over by the world. These heaven-chosen quickly analyzed the rule and understood that Gu Xian wanted to sow some positive karma with them. Nevertheless, they also wondered if this man had anything worthy of their status besides his inheritance. At their level, only high-level or rare resources are valued by them. Now you can begin, said Lord Spirit. So, everybody entered with the seated player going first based on their ranks. After entering, Wang Wei quickly noticed that a mysterious force had sealed all his powers except his fleshly body. The characters 4, level 1, floated in the air with a countdown from 30. Furthermore, he was alone. Wang Wei quickly adjusted his state until the countdown finished. Then, a blue flame enveloped the room, burning everything, except for him, for a few minutes. Then he received notification that he had passed the first level. Interesting. Gu Xian's requirement for the first level is to have a fleshly body comparable to a true monarch. That's pretty high. Not everyone follows the body refinement path or actively tempers their bodies, so having such a high requirement was a little surprising. Then Wang Wei sensed a strange energy entering his body. He intercepted and analyzed it. This power can help me open my acupoints? And it seems to be on par with the star essence, if not better. He could feel this power was versatile and of high quality, so it would benefit him greatly. So, after checking over and divining possible danger, he absorbed it. Too little, he muttered before proceeding to the second level. He did not change location. Instead, after another countdown, another flame appeared again, this time with the strength of a quasi-emperor. On the third level, he had to withstand gravity capable of squashing a normal quasi-emperor. On the fourth level, the trial asked him to lift a heavy object, and on the fifth level, a spike pierced his hand before healing less than a second afterward. Wang Wei quickly analyzed that this level tested his defense, stamina, physical strength, and regeneration. And only once they reached the quasi-emperor grade would he pass the level. Before entering the sixth level, Wang Wei gathered all the mysterious power granted from the previous level and easily condensed a black hole with them. So, his eyes lit up as he proceeded to the next level. The sixth level combined all the previous ones. He had to carry something heavy while flame tried to burn him and resisted an immense gravity. Furthermore, once in a while, a spike would appear out of nowhere, ignore his defense and pierce his skin, forcing him to heal. Nevertheless, this trial was not a problem for him. Wang Wei rose in levels and persevered despite the intensity of each level increasing. By the 123rd level, he had gathered enough power to finally condense supermassive black holes in all his primary 1962 acupoints. Then he finally entered the third stage of the true power Dao realm, the primordial dragon realm. He had precisely one primordial dragon force. However, Wang Wei slightly frowned when he learned what one primordial dragon force meant. It signified he could destroy 1% of a great thousand world with one attack. I should be able to destroy a great thousand world, right? He thought. However, after analyzing the situation, he understood where this distorted perception came from. With his strength, he could walk sideways in a great thousand world. He could single-handed kill all the infinite people in a great thousand world, since the highest power of that world is the supreme realm. However, technically speaking, the highest peak of a great thousand world was not the supreme world but the one root Tao ancestor level. So, only this level of strength is enough to destroy a great thousand world. And unfortunately, his fleshly body does not have that level of power. Even if he used all his other strengths, he could not reach the level of destroying a great thousand world, let alone doing it simply with his fleshly body. Only once all the clones reached their peak and he combined their fleshly body strength, could he achieve such a feat. So, the third layer is a large leap, the thought before continuing his rise. On the 261st level, Wang Wei had opened an additional 50,000 acupoints without condensing black holes. But he only had the power of 3 primordial dragon force. Furthermore, he also reached his limit. So, he borrowed the strength of his incarnations to keep climbing. The process was not easy since the borrowed strength was temporary, and he needed a break in between to do it again. Nevertheless, with this method he reached the 522nd level and opened a total of 120,000 acupoints, with 10 primordial dragon force. He finally reached his absolute limit. Finally he checked the ranking list. Chu Luo came first after reaching the 1000th and final level. He was in second place while Su Shi, Mu Lei, Star Beast World, and Yi Dafu, monkey-seated player, fought for the third spot on the 100th level. As he looked at the number 1 place he squinted his eyes. If he could use his law for even a brief moment, he had a way to reach the top as well. Nevertheless, even if he could, he would not use that method since it was his trump card against Chu Luo. There are many other categories. There is still time to catch up and surpass him. His result in this trial granted him 1044 points, while Chu Luo had 2,500 points. The second-seeded token was worth 40,000 points, but the number 1 gave 100,000 points. So, as long as he does better than his opponent in the upcoming trials, he will still be the final winner. If all fails, he will just take the first token for himself. Her body shook slightly as the power generated by opening that space traveled throughout her body, destroying everything in its path. Then, the destruction healed and increased her fleshly body strength in the process. Immediately afterward, she used the remaining energy and the chaos chi that her physique condensed to build the Immortal aperture, constructing thousands of interconnected divine runes. Regrettably, she only had the resources to make 1/10 of it. The incomplete Immortal aperture trembled as it released a power that began to temper her body and elevate it to a higher level. The pain was unbearable to 99% of cultivators, but it was nothing to her as she did not even grunt. To Su Shi, there was no greater excruciating pain than losing the love of her life. After an unknown amount of time the process ended. So, Su Shi clenched her hands to feel the power coursing through her veins. She felt her strength, endurance, regeneration, and defense greatly enhanced. She believed that once she finished creating the Immortal aperture, she would have the strength of a 3-leaf Immortal. By then, I will also be able to survive the attack of a 1-leaf Immortal. Better yet, I can easily defeat one, she thought, reminiscing about that previous shocking battle. She stood up, feeling better than before. I cannot believe this technique is an incomplete one. She knew from her inherited memories that the creator mentioned higher layers such as Tao aperture, Chaos aperture, and Primordial aperture. She could not fathom how powerful someone would be after creating these apertures or the resources needed for them. It does not matter. After I prove the Tao, I can search for the remaining of this scripture. And, before anyone asks, no, Wang Wei will not get his hands on this scripture. He cannot have all the good things. Su Shi then proceeded to the next level. She reached the 145th level with her newfound strength, taking the 3rd spot. As for Yi Dafu, he came in 4th in the 110th level, and Mu Lei came 5th in the 105th level. In his trial, Wang Wei finally received the notification that the competition had ended, and as the 2nd place holder, he had a special prize. Then a book appeared in front of him. 12 Zodiac Powers. He flipped through the book and his eyes lit up slightly. The book was a battle technique that used his acupoints to recreate the 12 Chinese zodiacs and allowed a cultivator to display many powerful and weird abilities. This is the perfect technique to allow me to display the power of my fleshly body to its full extent. He was satisfied with this reward. Suddenly he heard Lord Spirit's voice inside the pagoda. The minimum required points for a seeded player to challenge another is 500 points. Unfortunately, only the second seeded player acquired enough points. So, we will immediately begin the second round of the trial. Every participant can have 2 points for each level they reach, and the first seeded player had an extra 500 points. Since no one other than these two reached the 250th level, the competition continued. The environment changed, and Wang Wei found a massive pillar of jade divided into 5 before him. He received the instruction to instill his spiritual power into the pillar, so he did so after checking things. The first section that indicated a standard quality of soul lit up. A few seconds later, the remaining 4 sections show the classification of a soul's quality: bronze, silver, gold, and jade. Wang Wei easily lit up all 5 sections before waiting. A few minutes later, a new list appeared in front of him. Wang Wei, Peak Jade Quality, Unknown Soul Mutation 2000 points. Chu Luo, Peak Jade Quality, Samsara Mutation 1500 points. Xianxia, Peak Jade Quality, Incense Mutation 1440 points. Ji Lanfang, Advanced Jade Quality, Sword Mutation 1200 points. Jianghu, Medium Jade Quality, Yang Mutation 1100 points. Xianxia, Peak Jade Quality 1000 points. Tong Ruobing, Peak Jade Quality 1000 points. Feng Heng, Peak Jade Quality 1000 points. Su Shi, Low Jade Quality, Chaos Mutation 990 points. Dafu, Peak Golden Quality, The Eye Mutation 950 points. Mulei, Peak Golden Quality, Star Mutation 900 points. Kudalin, Advanced Golden Quality, Golden Light Mutation 890 points. Dalyui, Advanced Golden Quality, Golden Light Mutation 850 points. Everyone reacted to this list differently. Chu Luo frowned at the fact he was not first but did not focus too much on the result since he still held the overall number 1 position. Nevertheless, he wondered why this trial could not identify Wang Wei's mutation. Liang Shixian was genuinely surprised as he thought he would shine in this part of the trial since he was an expert on the soul. Li Lanfang did not care about the final outcome. He was just looking forward to fighting some powerful people to prevent his sword from being dulled. Nevertheless, as a pure swordsman, his result in the first trial was abysmal as he only reached the 12th level. So, he was glad he had enough points to challenge some seeded players. Jingwu Hua could not control her anger. She thought after using the method her father left for her, she was guaranteed to eclipse all her peers and prove the Tao in her second attempt. However, everything so far has hinted that she had awakened in the wrong generation. Shiqian was frustrated. As an immortal child, she was born with a powerful soul. And as a light race, as long as she commits acts of kindness that generate positive karma, she can purify her soul. She thought she had reached the limit on that process, but this trial gave her a wake-up call. Tong Ruobing acted calmly after receiving the news. She now thought of how to mutate her soul like the others, and she already had a feasible plan. This Wang Wei is like a gift that keeps on giving, she thought with a smile. Feng Heng also did not care. He hid the mutation of his soul to prevent others from discovering his Buddhist nature. Su Shi frowned as she figured out the reason she did not have a higher quality soul. She did not inherit everything from Lin Fan since she did not cultivate all the laws he did. For example, he understood soul law but she did not. So, she decided to find a way to raise the quality of her soul. Yi Dafu and Mu Lei were not surprised by this outcome. They both focused more on their bodies than their souls. Nevertheless, they still decided to make up for this shortcoming once they returned home. Wang Wei watched the results while analyzing the list. He instantly could tell that Feng Heng should be higher on that list. However, he focused on something else that caught his attention: the soul mutation of the barbarian siblings. He found it odd to be golden light when it should be related to the ancient spirit they contracted. So, he decided to watch out if this anomaly was important or not. We will begin the second part of the soul trial. Quantity. The Lord's Spirit communicated to all the participants in the pagoda. Then the pillar in front of them changed, removing the sections. The participants then began to instill their spiritual power without stopping. While doing so, the participants can see the lived ranking of the others, fueling their competition. Half an hour later, the third spot and below had a result, but Wang Wei and Chu Luo were still fiercely competing for the first spot. After an hour, Wang Wei had reached his limit, and he could tell he would lose in the quantity department, but he did not want to. So, he slightly removed the seal in his primordial spirit and accessed some spiritual power from his past life to compete with Chu Luo. Then, after another hour, the Spirit Lord suddenly decided to give both of them the first spot and award them 1,000 points each. The third spot did not change as the divine race, Xianxia took it but not by much. The fourth spot went to Jianghu, who tied for the same points as Xianxia. Finally, the group left the pagoda and everyone became tense. Chapter 547 Wang Wei vs. Yi Dafu. Lord Spirit appeared in front of everyone before distributing tokens to each participant. And as long as they inject their divine sense inside, they can see the number of points they have. The next trial will take place a week from now and we will also do 2 at the same time and maybe more. The next test will involve energy control and comprehension, so be prepared. After finishing his announcement, Lord Spirit looked at Wang Wei. You had a request for your first place reward? Yes, I want to exchange it with the energy from the first trial. Lord Spirit paused for a moment as if pondering or communicating with something. Your request is accepted. She waved her hand and a blue crystal flew from the pagoda. Meanwhile, Wang Wei took out a book from his space ring, handing it over. Finally, Lord Spirit gave him a deep look before leaving. Immediately, the situation became tense as all these heaven chosen stared at each other. Finally, Yi Dafu walked toward Wang Wei. This Monkey King would like to challenge you. Little monkey, don't waste your points. I'm out of your league, said Wang Wei. This handsome monkey thought he was the most arrogant person in the endless void. But today I finally found someone more arrogant than me, Yi Dafu replied with a sneer. All right, give the 500 points battle challenge. The monkey demon took out his token and exchanged 500 points before flying into the sky, and Wang Wei followed him. All the other participants calmly watched from a distance. While holding his red hole, Yi Dafu's dark gold armor shone brightly as the sun reflected on it. As he looked at his opponent, his usually frivolous and arrogant look was gone, replaced by a calm demeanor with intense battle intent emanating from his body. Then his eyes changed. The left was silver, the right was gold, and a third purple eye was on his forehead. As Wang Wei watched his opponent, he could see the left eye was brighter than the rest. The three-eyes monkey is an innate demon born with 3 special eyes: heaven, earth, and human eyes. It is said that the heaven eye can see through the truth of the universe, including all laws and causality. In terms of power, it might even outclass the yin-yang eyes, he said softly. So, let's see its power. Wang Wei decided to use this opportunity to learn and test out the power of his 12 zodiac powers, so he used the first and easy ones, the ox and rabbit zodiac. He controlled his acupoints to light up in the form of a very intricate ox design. Immediately afterward, he felt his strength double, which surprised him since few techniques worked for him regarding boosting his fleshless body with pure physical force. Then, since he had enough acupoints, he also created the rabbit zodiac, boosting his speed beyond his usual norm. He then rushed toward the monkey to punch. Only a few people can make him serious, and no one has yet to force him to go all out. But now was the right time. Earthly Eye, population. The Monkey King's right shone as he activated its ability. Then numerous monkey clones suddenly appeared, all with the same aura. Wang Wei's lips twitched after seeing this. He did not care that there were 250,000 clones, all with the same battle strength as the main body. He only found the specific technique absurd coming from a monkey demon. Are you sure you're not related to Sun Wukong? He asked. Who's that? Asked one of the Yi Dafu. The Great Saint equal to heaven. The Great Saint equal to heaven? What a domineer name. I like it, we should use it, said one of the clones. Better yet, let's call ourselves the Great Emperor above heaven. That should be our emperor title. Agree. Agree. Soon they all agree on their future emperor title, leaving Wang Wei speechless. All right, let's focus on this battle, said one of them. Then they rushed together toward their opponent to gang up on him. Wang Wei smiled with an odd smile. Then he activated the rat zodiac, which created thousands of clones of himself. To be precise, 1962 clones, one for each of his primary acupoints. The clones only had 50% of his power since he did not fully master this technique, but it was still more than enough. Or so he thought. The monkey clones devastated his clones. It was apparent that Yi Dafu had strength beyond 50% of his. In the end, he had to finish things on his own. He rushed to a specific monkey and instantly slapped it to death before frowning. He thought he could end this technique if he found the original Yi Dafu. But he discovered this ability worked similarly to Su Ya's clones. As long as one of the monkeys remained alive, Yi Dafu would not die. So, he went for an attack with a wide area of destruction. A multicolored flame came from his body to burn everything within 100,000 miles radius. And to his surprise, his attack did not destroy as many clones as he expected, as only 30,000 disappeared. And that's because Yi Dafu used his disaster monkey bloodline to protect him from heavenly fire disasters, and since the chaos flame is a heavenly flame, he acquired some immunities. Disaster bloodline, Earth Dragon. Moving all the remaining monkeys used the same technique, which forced the whole city to shake like an earthquake of incalculable magnitude. Furthermore, Wang Wei could feel the terrifying vibration of this quake directed toward him. Boom. The place he stood exploded. But to no one's surprise, he was intact. And it was not because of his natural defense but because he used the pig zodiac that allowed him to absorb, store, and redirect his opponent's attacks. This zodiac had the same effect as his grandfather's overlord body once completed to the highest level. Wang Wei stopped cultivating that technique and focused on the desolate scripture, but now he could have the same ability. Additionally, his grandfather might found the pig zodiac's cultivation method useful to him and learned from it. Wang Wei looked at Yi Dafu's clone, and he knew the latter's plan for the last attack, to buy enough time to recuperate the previously destroyed clones. Meanwhile, the Monkey King looked at how calmly his opponent dealt with some of his most potent attacks, so he decided to use his most powerful one. Human Eye, Human, Earth, and Heaven as one. The third eye on his forehead activated. Then all his clones fused with him. And the more fused with him, the higher his aura becomes. Once he finished, Yi Dafu felt an unprecedented power rushing through his veins. Nevertheless, he knew this was not enough, far from it. So, he activated his most powerful ability. Disaster Bloodline, Immortal Tribulation. The clouds turned dark in an instant as dark red thunder constantly flashed. However, Yi Dafu was not finished. A magical treasure in the shape of a lightning bolt came out of his body before fusing it with the clouds. And once he did that, the participants squinted their eyes as they felt the power emanating from those clouds. After placing it away, Yi Dafu sighed loudly, "I've lost." Wang Wei nodded before looking at the other people, his eyes asking them if anyone else would like to challenge him. No one answered, but Ji Lanfang suddenly appeared in the sky while holding his gourd. He took a sip before asking Yi Dafu, "Monkey, how long before you can return to your peak?" "I can fight in a few hours." "I'm not asking when you can fight. I want to know when you can return to your peak." Yi Dafu did answer. In his current situation, he will need plenty of immortal tier resources to return to his peak as soon as possible. And currently, he is considering whether to withdraw from the trial since he only came here for the insurgent technique, but it appeared things were not in his favor. Suddenly, Lord Spirit appeared next to these two with a talisman in his hand. "I have a solution to your problems. Deceiving Body Talisman. With it, you deceive your body that you're in peak shape, thus momentarily returning to that state." Yi Dafu pondered for a moment before accepting the offer. After crushing the talisman, his body did return to its peak. He felt he could use the same level of attack that had placed him in such a terrible shape before. "To ensure no trouble, let's decide victory with one attack," said Ji Lanfang, who pulled out the sword on his waist. "Fine by me," said the Monkey King. He used the same technique except that the red lightning appeared on the tip of his staff. Ji Lanfang took one last sip of his gourd before concentrating on the fight. A supreme sword will emanated from his body as his entire demeanor changed. He was no longer the drunkard but an unrivaled swordsman who sought a worthy challenger. The two gazed intently at each other while their aura became tangible as they clashed. Then they attacked at the same time. Swish! Yi Dafu's red lightning was midway through its travel as it stopped. Then, a look of horror displayed on the monkey's face, wondering what had just happened. Then, his head suddenly left his neck as it flew in the air. While upside down, he could see the swordsman had returned to his lazy and vulgar demeanor. "Only one serious slash? I guess it's better than the weaklings in my world," Ji Lanfang said as he continued drinking. Then he squinted his eyes. A cocoon that resembled rock surrounded Yi Dafu's body. His flying head disappeared, and not long afterward, he broke out of the cocoon with a new head and a look of fear. If his disaster bloodline did not have a technique to avoid disaster and saved him at the last minute, he would have died, his soul disappeared, and Dao vanished. Yi Dafu did not say anything but handed his third-place token to his opponent. Then he contacted his ancestor. He had used both his bloodline's secret techniques, and he sensed that the backlash could kill him once the deceiving talisman's effect ended. No problem. After giving the talisman, Ji Lanfang flew away. He only came here to meet worthy challengers and he met one. He hoped the others would also allow him to fight to his heart's content. Furthermore, it was a bonus to meet a possible fellow Taoist that was his equal on the way of the sword. Meanwhile, Wang Wei looked forward to seeing a clash between these two extraordinary swordsmen. He wanted to know whether his father could cut Ji Lanfang's speed or would the latter be too fast for him to cut. He then looked at the participants, wondering whether there would be other fights. However, no one challenged the seeded players. Wang Wei guessed many people wanted to further their strength through the trial's rewards or use the days off for some last-minute training. Nevertheless, he knew things would not remain peaceful for long. So, he flew to his residence as he had other things to do. In his battle with Yi Dafu, he acquired the latter's soul imprints to access the monkey's home world. Chapter 549 Force Control Skill. After entering his mansion, Wang Wei saw Li Jun had already entered and waited for him. What's the matter? I was wondering how I would be fair in those 2 exams. Wang Wei looked at him up and down. With the trial's reward, you should be able to reach the 100th level or more. As for the soul trial, let's see. He raised his hand to construct complex runes in the form of a tesseract. Inject your spiritual power. Li Jun followed his words. You have an advanced gold-quality soul and a mutation toward slaughter. The result makes sense, especially the slaughter mutation, Li Jun said with a wry and slight desolate tone. For the past few thousand years, he had been trying to enter the Dui realm by making his soul into particles of slaughter aura, similar to Wang Tian's method. Unfortunately, even though he had the right idea, he encountered the limit of his talent and failed. Since no one could help him with this process, there was nothing else anyone could do. Otherwise, even if he succeeded in using help, he would not enter the Dui realm. Luckily, because of his many attempts, his soul has mutated and now has slaughter properties, making him powerful. Wang Wei sensed how his friend felt, so he patted him on the shoulder. There was nothing he could do in this situation. Come with me, he said as he led Li Jun to an empty room in the mansion. Then he took out a few materials from his space rings to form a formation. Finally, he condensed a crystal with his soul to use as the formation's core. What's this? Asked Li Jun. This is soul purification formation. It will use my soul to release a special pressure that can purify the soul. If you can resist the inhuman pain, it is a quick way for your soul to reach the peak of jade quality. Li Jun's eyes lit up. Liling would love this formation. True, but she probably has a middle or even advanced jade soul quality. I guess it will still be enough. Let me contact her and see if she responds. He used a talisman to contact her back in the sect, and she responded. So, Li Jun explained the situation to her. No need. Why? I used the merit from the automatic cauldron to purify my soul to the limit, and I guess it's what you call jade quality. However, I am indeed interested in soul mutation. She pondered how to achieve a mutation through merit and which kind of mutation suited her. It's good that you don't need it. If you want, I can give you some merit to purify your soul. No need, replied Li Jun. It's a good method to temper my willpower. I might even use it to temper my soldiers. Then the 2 lovebirds began to chat with each other. Wang Wei wanted to give them space, so he left before reminding Li Jun to let Tai Gang use it once he finished. They also planned to use it as one of the main secret realm trials of the sect. Wang Wei did not visit Yi Dafu or Ji Lanfang's world immediately because he had 2 things to do beforehand. Firstly, check the array virus to see if he discovered any new information. He checked the reaction and conversations of all the participants watching him fight but did not find much significant use. However, while reviewing the recording he felt he had overlooked something, so he checked it repeatedly but could not find what it was. Ultimately, he gave up, focusing on his second goal, to optimize his force control skill. Initially, he divided this technique into 5 layers: Full Control, Master Control, Grandmaster Control, Pinnacle Control, and Heavenly Tao Control. Previously, he believed that the pinnacle control was the limit any individual could reach, and he was correct. But now, he also understood the pinnacle control was too broad and had room for further division and optimization. So, he decided the best way to optimize this technique was to add more levels after Grandmaster, and he came up with a few levels: Mortal Pinnacle, Immortal Control, Tao control, Emperor control, and finally Heavenly Tao control. Wang Wei spent a few hours analyzing these levels but did not immediately create or cultivate them. He left the trial and teleported back home before using the transplanar transmission array to teleport to the spacetime incarnations world. Afterward, he had the incarnation send him to a parallel timeline that was in the past so he could have enough time. He only spent a few months there, which was a few years, with his future Buddha self. And in that short period he cultivated his control over physical forces, energy, soul, and laws to the Tao control level, meaning he had the same control as a Tao ancestor. Wang Wei opened his eyes from his retreat. However, he sighed. Indeed, his control of everything has reached the same level as a Tao ancestor. Regrettably, he cannot use that level of control unless he uses the power of the incarnations. His main body can only use immortal control, which provides him with the battle strength of a one-leaf immortal venerable without borrowing power from the other incarnations. I guess I should be satisfied. Another reason for his increase in strength is he used the trial's reward to open a total of 255,000 acupoints and had the power of 20 primordial dragon force. And with his control he can burst out double the strength, 40 primordial dragon force. I could probably refine an immortal tier pill, Wang Wei muttered as he decided to try after the upcoming trial. He then left the parallel timeline to return to the main one, which the spacetime incarnation used as his home. After chatting with the latter, he returned to the trial and directly used his soul network to travel to Yi Dafa's homeworld, the primordial demon world. Using a random soul as an anchor, he sent a projection. As soon as he arrived, he first discovered the weird energy or power between heaven and earth, a power fused with the spiritual chi of this world. As always, Wang Wei read his opponent's fate line when they were at their weakest, so he knew plenty of information about this world from the Monkey King. The primordial demon world is famous in the endless void because it was a grave for innate demons and primordial gods. So many of these extraordinary creatures have been killed here during the ancient war. Their blood and soul have mixed with the core of this world. The spirit chi has mutated to contain certain blood factors from these creatures, thus making it easier for the inhabitants of this world to awaken a bloodline, even an innate one. Furthermore, there is plenty of fortunate encounter in the form of bloodline inheritance in this world. Because of the environment, the cultivation system of this world focused on body refining combined with bloodlines. After analyzing the situation, Wang Wei took action. He first searched the mind of someone nearby to learn of his whereabouts. The Black Cloud Heaven Realm, he muttered. This world was divided into 72 heavenly realms and 36 earthly territories, each as large as hundreds of domains from the myriad Emperor world. Each realm and territory is controlled by a realm lord, an official position created by heavenly Tao, usually held by an immortal powerhouses. As long as these realm lords keep their territory safe and preserve the safety of the people, they can receive some merit at the end of the terms to speed up their cultivation. The law and order of this world are strict, so I should be more cautious, he thought before taking action. He activated his chi luck to search for a fortunate encounter. He wanted an emperor tier cultivation technique for this world. After finding what he wanted, he teleported deep into a mountain a few hundred kilometers away. He discovered a book left by a loose cultivator who died after stealing the book from a secret realm. Wang Wei then read the cultivation system of this world. The first realm is the body forging realm, where cultivators temper the body to the pinnacle until they develop blood chi, energy from their blood. The second realm is the body foundation, where they improve the blood chi to a certain quantity before fusing it into their bodies, further tempering it. Tao preparation realm. Cultivators comprehended different intents to prepare for future comprehension of the law. Bloodline plays a significant role as they allow cultivators to understand unique intents. Metamorphosis realm. Fuse the intent with the body, making it more powerful and awakening many different abilities based on the intent. Bloodlines also undergo the first awakening. Primordial soul realm. Fuse the soul with the body, similar to the true spirit realm in the ancient cultivation system in the myriad emperor world. Tao peering realm. Intent evolves into laws. In this stage, the cultivators cannot control the law but only borrow its power. Tao engraving realm. Engrave the laws on the body to control it. Wang Wei frowned after reading this part, but he did not stop and continued reading. Tao embodiment realm. Comprehend the laws until they evolved into Taos. In this stage, cultivators no longer have to adapt to the laws of other worlds before they can use their powers. Yidafu was at the peak of this realm. Primordial God realm / innate demon realm. cultivators will experience a pseudo-atavism in this stage. Whatever bloodline they have inside their bodies will activate to the fullest, granting them a powerful body that copies primordial gods and innate demons. If someone does not have a bloodline, they would be extremely weak in this stage. After reading the cultivation technique, Wang Wei had many thoughts as he reviewed the system in its entirety. The first category's only advantage is that the heaven will grant them a significant increase in strength without taking away their qualification in the true power Dao realm. The boost is not enough to open the gate but enough to increase in layers in the true power Dao realm. Meanwhile, the second category can only comprehend the power Grand Dao source. The third level consisted of body refiners that used their bodies to control the laws. Whatever laws they comprehend will spread through every corner of their body, baptizing it over a long time. These body refiners also cannot enter the true Dao power. The Dao engraving realm made it impossible for the cultivators of this world to walk on the path of true power Dao. After analyzing everything, Wang Wei placed the technique away and focused on his goal of coming here. He did not here to cause trouble. He could not if he wanted to give the strict control of the realm lords and how powerful the primordial demon world was with 5 eternal emperors. His only purpose in coming here was to set up a faction that could help him gather rare cultivation resources and, more importantly, bloodline. He wanted to prepare for when he cultivates the Fiend God 12-body revolution. So, he traveled throughout the 72 heavenly realms and 32 earthly territories to secretly control Supreme Land factions and have them work together to do his bidding. He focused more on human factions since the human race was only a middle-level race in the entire world. They were strong enough to help but not powerful enough to be always on guard by other races. Nevertheless, Wang Wei also controlled a few spirit race factions along with other races. He did not touch the demon race since they were the most powerful race in this world. Luckily, these demon races did not act like the ones from the demon supremacy world. After that, Wang Wei headed to Ji Lanfan's world, the Immortal Ascension world. He did not use his luck to find an emperor's scripture. He divined someone whose luck had awakened and would receive an emperor's scripture. Then he stole it from the poor guy before returning it. This world's cultivation was similar to the pursuing longevity world in the early stages. Body tempering, chi refining, core formation, nascent soul. However, since they do not have an immortal source sealed in their worlds, they walk a different path. After nascent soul is the divine transformation realm, which is precisely like the origin system's primordial soul realm, refining the 3 immortal souls or ethereal spirits as they called it in this world. Then, it is the star-plucking realm which came about due to a unique place in this world, the Dao Star dimension. The Dao Star realm contained numerous stars connected to a law of the universe. By connecting to one, cultivators can better understand the laws. There are levels in the realm. The more talented a person is, the higher they can reach in the Dao Star realm to acquire their stars. However, a cultivator does not have to use the stars in the realm. Instead, they can create a unique star for themselves if they have a special law or Dao. Ji Lanfang is a perfect example. Afterward, they will enter the body integration realm, where they fuse their stars with their bodies. Subsequently, they will undergo 9 tribulations in the tribulation realm. Each tribulation further elevates their lifespan and understanding of the laws. Finally, it is the Dao treading realm where cultivators use their stars to create a heaven path toward the Grand Dao in their bodies. Once they reach that path's end, that's the quasi-emperor realm. And after acquiring the heavenward world, the path will lead to the Grand Dao source. Wang Wei could tell that whoever created this Dao treating system wanted people to become emperor or even Dao ancestors on their own without the heaven's will. Regrettably, the heaven path led to nowhere. The only thing it accomplished was giving cultivators an extra lifespan of about 5 million years. So, this system is slightly better than the origin system regarding lifespan, but the general battle prowess is similar. This system is interesting and might be worth studying in depth, he thought, pondering how he could fit some information in the optimization he would make to the origin system after proving the Dao. After his contemplation, he went to do what he came to do. His main objection was finding primordial star energy, as he felt this world might be the one with the highest possibility of having it. So, he searched everywhere through controlling luck or divination. He did find a small amount in a secret realm but not as much as expected. Should I search the immortal realm? Thought Wang Wei. The Immortal Ascension world was divided into the mortal and immortal realm. As long as someone reaches Tier 7 void-shattering realm, they can ascend to the immortal world. However, most cultivators do not do this for the simple fact that all the immortal tier powerhouses are forced by heavenly Tao to live in the immortal realm. They cannot spend much time in the lower realm or fight there. So, that place is a prison for them, but it ensures the safety of mortals. Due to the danger of the immortal realm, many people refuse to ascend even if the environment is slightly better. Only during the heavenward battle where they would do so, since the battle usually takes place somewhere there. After contemplating for a moment, he decided to take some risks. He influenced some poor guy, forcing him to ascend before using his spirit particle to ascend with him. With this method he was undetected and avoided people's eyes. After all, this world also had 5 eternal emperors. Then he went on his search for primordial star energy. He found more than the mortal realm, but not as much as he wanted, enough to condense a few dozen black holes. Chapter 552 Su Shi's Challenge, Gift Bonus Chapter. Thank you to Genghis Khan for the gift. Jianghu Hua did not hesitate as she challenged the 4th-seeded player, Shi Qian. She paid the challenge price and the two flew into the sky to battle. Jianghu Hua did not waste any time as she went on the offensive. A bright red flame appeared on her body, twisting the surrounding space with the sheer temperature. Golden Crow Flame. The flame on her body turned into a humongous crow before flying to her opponent. Pillars of Purification. Shi Qian waved her hand to manifest 3 massive pillars of golden lights, descending on the flame crow. Unfortunately, the crow easily burned the pillar and their purification ability before rushing toward her. Extreme Yang? Thought Shi Qian before creating golden light cages around the flame to slowly weaken the crow until it disappeared. 9 Yang Suns. Jianghu Hua created 9 suns made of extreme Yang flame before dropping them on her opponent. Shi Qian frowned for a moment as she rapidly calculated her next step of action. A pair of white wings suddenly appeared behind her back. Then she flew with unrivaled speed to evade the 9 suns, who felt on the city's formation. Jianghu Hua also grew a pair of wings, but hers were crow wings. She flew toward her opponent 100 times faster than light speed. Regrettably, Shi Qian cultivated the Tao of Light, a Tao with a natural speed advantage. Shi Qian did not clash head-on with his opponent. She knew her fleshly body would not be on par with a degraded demon like the 3-legged golden crow. Additionally, her main tactic of fighting is using long-distance spells. So, she used her speed advantage to kiting her opponent. She would create light spears, light swords, and numerous other weapons to attack Jianghu Hua, who only used the flame on her body to burn these attacks. After trying for a while to catch her opponent without success, Jianghu Hua used another approach. She used her Yang Law to boost her speed. Everything between heaven and earth can be divided into yin and yang. Speed and slow, for example. Speed is yang while slowness is yin. So, through the laws of yang, Jianghu Hua controlled the concept of speed to boost her speed. In an instant she appeared before Shi Qian and punched her. Boom. The immortal child descended from the sky and landed on the ground, destroying countless houses. Half her body was burned to crisps before she could remove the yang flame on her. Pure body. A golden light appeared on the burned side to make her body pure, and a pure body cannot have any injuries. Jianghu Hua was not about to let her opponent heal, so she created a massive pillar of flame that descended from the sky to finish the job. However, when the attack landed, Shi Qian turned into motes of golden lights before appearing in the sky. However, she now looked completely different. However, as he became more powerful, he knew that the endless void had one samsara for all the world communities. He tried to learn the secrets of samsara but had no success. But he did conclude some things based on the information he had. For example, why did Di Tian only reincarnate into the myriad emperor world? He theorized that it was either heavenly Taoist doing or each world community had its own division. Wang Wei closed his eyes to access the knowledge the incarnation had. His theory was partially correct. There are separate divisions based on a soul's place of origin. But it is also possible to be reborn in another division, albeit rare but possible. Your method was ingenious, he commented. The incarnation did not forcibly establish a netherworld. Instead, he asked to create a branch in this world from the main branch. And true heavenly Tao was more than happy to give him some power and reduce the burden on itself, as long as the incarnation was willing to follow some strict rules. It even gave him a lot of merit for his actions. With this method, many of our plans are guaranteed to become a success, and we might not need to refine the 9 devil god worlds. The only thing we have to worry about is Old Man Nether, said the incarnation. He had many new plans after his recent success. He had greater ambitions after seeing how handsomely true heavenly Tao rewarded him for his actions. Wu Hong told him about Old Man Nether from the Nether Hell. This was a person obsessed with controlling the samsara of the lower dimension, and for countless eras he has been slowly stealing its power. Therefore, he knew this person would stop him from establishing a netherworld in the myriad emperor world. And if he were to learn of the method this incarnation used, he would definitely try to replicate it. The 9 devil god world is still needed, just not as important as we previously thought. As for Old Man Nether, we will deal with him after we prove the Tao, replied Wang Wei. From what he knew, Old Man Nether was the only Empyrean in the lower dimension. Many people have wondered he managed to stay there without any repercussions. However, Wang Wei is not that scared of him. He believed once he found a way to reach the 10 Extremity Foundation, after becoming an eternal emperor, he might have the battle prowess of an Empyrean, 70% Grand Tao source. And even if he does not, he will be closed and will not need much time to reach that battle strength. Make sure to remove all your tracks before the fusion, said Wang Wei. He did not want to get Old Man Nether's attention more than he already did. Then he went to see the Destiny Incarnation. He found the latter reading intently before a large book titled, Book of Destiny. Wang Wei called him, but the latter was distracted, so he had to push him before waking up from his deep concentration. Oh, you're here. You should be more careful.